So I know I said today we were gonna work on this painting right here. I kind of lied. Well, not really lied, but let me try to get Facebook Live set up. So this is kind of frustrating because I can't stream on Facebook Live unless I start streaming on OBS first. And then after I start streaming, then I can go to Facebook Live and get like the stream key. But then it changes every time I like update my title. And it's just an utter complete mess. Okay, so what am I gonna call this? Skin tone study 2? Character design. We'll just call it character concept art. Alright. And put that in there. I'm getting that set up, I'm sorry. But yeah, I said I was gonna work on this painting. But really I'm gonna be, well, it's a two-part thing. So first I'm going to do another skin tone study of the Mel character because he's supposed to be much tanner than this picture originally. So I'm going to do a skin tone study of that, and then after I kind of get an idea of what his skin tone is, then I'm going to go in and redo this painting in color, like full color, not like a monochromatic. Hashtag character concept art. Sorry, I'm still trying to get it. Hashtag digital art. Hashtag. Hashtag. This is concept art, right? Concept art. Character design. Okay, that should be good enough. And I'm going to share this on my timeline, but if you guys can just put that on my, or if Dante can put that on my actual Facebook page, we'll do that. Okay, cool. So hi, Demon Kitty! What's up? How are you today? Oh, I'm glad that you like it. Yeah, I was trying to tell people, so basically, I want to redo this painting just because she needs dreads. Well, I just started changing her the other day, but I haven't gotten to actually making her face look more like her. I just rough sketched it in, but basically she needs to look more like herself, and he needs to be way tanner than what he is, because his skin tone's kind of messed up right now. And so before I can do this, I need to decide like what color skin he has. So like I'll show you guys kind of what I was talking about. Basically like when we character designed him, this is like, oh, you like the fox? I love it too, though Raj is my favorite, the elk. But yeah, as I was like designing this character, this is like what I started with, and I just slowly worked him until I found a face shape and type that I was like happy with and whatnot. But then I tried to make him tanner, and when I did, he just ended up looking really burnt. So I don't think that I did that right, and so this week has kind of been, this week and last week have kind of been about me doing like skin tone studies to make them look more real and not so like, I don't know, like I guess it just looks burnt to me. It doesn't really look like a true skin tone. It just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't have the right color combination. And so I did do a skin tone study the other day of a dark olive skin tone, if I can pull that up. Where is it? Okay, yeah, this one. So this is what I ended up doing for for that Nikita character, the one that I just started changing. I haven't gotten fully there yet, but this is what I ended up doing. I ended up giving her, you know, like a darker skin because before when I made her, I don't know if you guys were there for that, but it was a long time ago, and when I made her, this is what I started with. So you can tell, like, again, it's more red than it is like those like nice ashy colors. So I had to completely start over with that and learn that, but I don't think Siva is going to be that color, and so this is just going to be another study basically. Yeah, it does look oversaturated, doesn't it? Like I tried to turn down, the problem was like you can't just, so like what I ended up doing was I took this skin tone right here and I just like I took it, I can even do it right now if I want to. I just like literally grabbed his skin and filtered it down. So I darkened it and then I added more saturation because it looked too gray. So I added more saturation. I also added more contrast, not that harsh obviously, but like I added more contrast to it and stuff. And it still just ended up looking really burnt because you can't just like, you can't drag the colors and change the saturation all at once. It doesn't work like that because everything ends up getting changed. So there has to be a balance between like the dark hues and the color and stuff. And so he just looks really burnt. Yeah. So I'm gonna go and we're literally going to do a skin tone study for this dude right here. His name is Siva. That's S-I-I-V-A. Siva. And we're just gonna try to make it look really like natural, something that kind of fits him really well. If I can find him on my character sheet. Oh, there he is. Okay, layer, copy. And let me hide his hair because we don't really want that right now. Where's your hair, dude? Okay. This is really funny. He's balding. He's going through a midlife crisis right now. Okay, so I'll just merge that down. That way I have everything. Okay. This is so funny. This is like the best part of drawing because it just, sometimes it looks so awkward and it's like really funny to like do little different things. Where did he go? Okay, edit, copy. Is it this one? No, it's this one. Sorry, I'm trying to like get it all together. I don't know what that is. I'll just erase it. Edit, copy. Trying to set him up on a new canvas because I don't want to ruin the one that I have. That one, this is all about making his face shape look right. So you can see this is where I started. And then as I kept working on him, his face began to slowly, like subtly change, and there were just a lot of differences. And then I changed his hair, and then finally his skin tone, which I did not do a good job on. But anyways, yeah, so now that we've got that, let me come up here. Is this his hair? Okay, yeah, edit, copy. Go to new canvas and edit, paste his hair. We're going to make the background darker because I don't like bright backgrounds. It just really hurts my eyes, and honestly it just makes it really hard for you to like, for your eyes to see colors as they truly are. So using a darker background, especially when you're working with a lot of like really colorful paintings, really helps. Okay, and let me put this all in one little layer thing, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to drag this all the way up here, and we're going to copy it again so that we can compare and contrast. This is the whole point of concept art. You start with an idea. So this was the idea for his skin tone, right? So I started with this. This was my first sketch. And now we're going to copy and paste it, and we're just going to keep doing that and making subtle changes to his body and his skin and the tones in it until we find something that we like. You can do it as many times as you like until you feel like you've actually learned something, and then after we have something that we're happy with all the way over here for like the 50th time, then we're going to take it and compare and contrast the beginning to the end to see exactly like what we did different. So yeah, we'll just do that. I talk a lot. If I talk too much, just let me know. But yeah, we're gonna get started. So I have already a few different references because remember I said I struggled really hard with making his skin true. Yeah, and let me get those pulled up. I have a few, nope, that's a study. So I have, that is not a reference. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I should have set this up before I started, but I was more worried about making Facebook Live work than I was about like getting all my references pulled up before I started streaming. Let's see, where are my skin tones at? Okay, so I have that one, and then I also have, let's see, where are they? Okay, we're just gonna work with these. I have a bunch of different references to show you like all the different skin tones and stuff, so if we like compare, he definitely looks too red. I mean, this could truly be a skin tone, I don't know honestly, but to me it just doesn't really fit him overall, and it doesn't look very like well thought out. It just looks like a last ditch effort, which is what it was. So we're gonna try to use something more like a real or like natural skin tone, kind of sort of. I say real, but like something common that's easier on the eyes. I want his skin to be a little bit lighter than a dark olive, so I think I'm gonna go for like a dark gold skin tone, I think is what it's called. So probably somewhere like right here or like right here. So one of these two. Oops, edit redo. That, and we're gonna hide his hair for a little bit just so I can focus on making his skin true. And we're gonna use this like this as another reference. And this is what I talk about often when we talk about like beginner artists always think that skin is literally just like, you know, a tan color and then some darker tan colors and some lighter tan colors, and that is not true at all. Like even like the most light and the most dark skin tones, you can tell if you come down here if they have like pinks and blues in them, and you can even look like right here, that's like a really light blue. It probably doesn't look that way when I color pick it because it's nice and blended into the skin or whatever, but like this is the artist who made this, that's what they were using as they were going over like certain spots. So skin has a lot of color, and that's kind of basically what my struggle has been with like darker skin tones. But yeah, now we can start. So I'm gonna try first this gold skin tone to see if I like that. We're gonna go in, and it's gonna look goofy for a bit because it's gonna look like he smothered clay all over his face. But bear with me, it will start to come together. I'm actually gonna flip these because I know my camera's on the right side and it's hard for you guys to see sometimes. Okay, so right now his skin is super red. We're just gonna try to like tone this down a bit. I think first what I want to do is just get an overall base color. So I'm gonna say we'll go more like on the orangey side. So like I'm gonna pick a color more like right here, and I'm gonna see kind of what the base color is in here. So I'm gonna assume that it's actually, that might be too light. Uh-oh. Okay, well, this is a horrible guess, but you can just compare them and you can see how far off I was. Mine was more orangey and theirs is more on the yellow side of the spectrum up at the top right corner. So I'm going to use that, and basically we're going to try to copy this gold thing. Yay! I have like no music and it's weird. Give me a second. I want music. I feel so weird without music. I have to like, you know, get in the mood of the painting. I'm goofy, I know. This'll work. We're gonna turn that up. And we'll keep drawing. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna splotch this more yellowy color all over his skin. I could just simply take his entire face and do a like color thing, like a, what do you call it? Like change the color, what do you call it? I could just select everything and then change the color that way, but again, like I said, that would just change the general. Actually, you know what? We could do that. We'll do that for a second. So we're just gonna take this whole entire layer and filter it, and we're gonna try to make it more yellow instead of so red. Like right now it's really red, so let's make it more like of a yellowy gold. And let's turn down the saturation of it, and then that way we can start with a good base. And that way I don't have to paint the bottom. Then I can just add all the nice hues on top. Yay! Okay, anyways. Okay, so we'll start with that, but this, again, is not usually what you would ever want to do because you want to color in, like, the midtones and stuff. Okay, so let's just go in. We're not going to use these dark purples to shade the inside of his face. So, like, if I were to say that, okay, if right here is the darkest dark on his skin, that's the shadow, right? That, like, dark purple. We're going to compare that to this gold's darkest dark, which is right here. This is the darkest dark. And look how much of a difference there is. Like, mine's like deep purple, but that is like deep red. And that's what you want to watch out for when you're, like, there's no true rule to skin tones or anything, but like, if you want it to look good, you need to be like really thinking about like the consistency of like the colors and stuff and like what goes good together and what doesn't. So we're just going to take that red and splash it all over those dark spots, get rid of anything that's like purpley and put in more of a red. So like in his eye sockets, that's all purple. Let's get rid of that. We're just gonna splash this red in there. Sorry if you can hear people in the background. Okay. So already this is like a really great start. I can tell. I know some people are like, what? But I can tell the difference. We're gonna get rid of all the purple. I agree, it is already looking better. It looks like I don't really have to change his chest because I did mostly red hues when I first drew this. So his chest is kind of okay for now. It's safe. We're just gonna redo all of this. And this is not going to be a body study, so I am not worried about the anatomy right now. I am just simply worried about getting the colors correct. Now we're gonna go in and adjust the highlights so that the highlights actually kind of are right. So if we were to pick the lightest light on his face, where do you think that would be? It'd probably either be like on his shoulders, right on his pecs, or right on his cheek. So I'm just gonna pick any one of those, it doesn't really matter. This is the lightest color on his entire body. And I'm gonna put that down and I'm just gonna compare it to the lightest color on this gold over here. So this is probably, it's either this or it's this. And so I'm just gonna take both of them and compare them to each other. And look how much of a difference and how much more color is in either of these. And that's, again, like I said, I can't stress it enough, that's super important. He has basically no color. Basically what we're looking at right now is just more light tan and more dark tan, and that's not right at all. Painting with color, not tan. So yeah, I'm going to take that highlight and I'm just going to throw it all over on different parts of his body that I think are going to get a lot of light. The lighting is coming from up above him, so most of the light is going to splash up here on the top of his arms, right here a little bit, probably at the tops of his pecs. I don't know, I'm still learning male body types, so I'm not really sure if that's like absolutely right, but we're going to stick with it. Some of that light's gonna hit here depending on how swole he is. And probably a little bit. Oh, hey, we got a follow! Valka Show subscribed! What the heck? I get confused. Do you have to like renew your subscriptions? Because I always get like, I'm like, I know I saw you guys subscribe like last week or something. How are you today, Valka Show? Oh, just for those of you who are just new to this and came in just now, if I'm responding to other people, it's not me talking to myself, it's just that I'm on a multi-stream site. So a lot of like different websites see me streaming right now and a lot of people are talking. It's okay, Foxy. I know you subbed in heart. So much love and support. I can't handle it. It's like overwhelming. So we're just gonna keep taking those like greens and yellows and splashing them all over his like face. Not too much, but just in places where I think highlights will come. So depending on how far your chin is sticking out, if you had a chin that was like all the way out here, then obviously it's gonna catch a lot of light because it's like all the way out here and the light is coming down, right? He doesn't have a very big chin, it's pretty normal. So it's only gonna get like a little bit of a highlight right about there. Your nose, depending on how like flat or pointed or wide your nose is, there's going to be a highlight. So he has a very like flat nose that's kind of pointed down and at a like inward angle. So because of that, his highlight is going to be a little bit wider than like my nose, for example. My nose is very like thin, kind of. Well, I say thin. It's thinner than his, and if I had like a really bright light above my head, there would be a little bit of like a dot right there, but it wouldn't be super wide, it would just be a dot. But yeah, he has a wide nose, so we're just gonna make that wide. His nostrils are kind of out on the side. Some people, like my nose for example, my nostrils are very like next to my nose, but since his are very like wide and flared out, we're actually going to add a little bit of a highlight onto his nostrils. So right there. Depending on your lips, like whatever lip size you have and shape, you'll actually have a little bit of a highlight right here. So we're going to go in and add just a tiny bit of a highlight right above on his lip, outer edge of his lip, and also on the inner lip. So depending on where the light was coming from, that would change. If the light's coming from, the right side of his face, then the light on the lip would be only on one side, the sides that are facing the light, if that makes sense. But the light is fairly centered, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. And the reason I didn't pick a weird, crazy lighting was because I didn't want to get thrown off on the skin tone study, because again, this is about like gold, darker skin tones, and if I do a weird lighting, it's just going to throw me off and I'm going to be too focused on making that look right instead of learning, because this is a study. This is basically, if you want to get good at something, you study and you use lots of references, you read other people's material. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't have to be art. If you're trying to dance, you look up, what do? You look up dance recitals and like videos of other people dancing. You look up different types of dance. There's tango and waltz. The same thing with art. There's different styles of art out there. Not everybody has the same style. Some people like to paint more anime style. Some people like to paint super realistic. I kind of like to have an in-between with my art, so I like a good in-between between anime and realism. And it's been a struggle over the years to understand like a good balance between the two without getting too carried away. But I'm just now getting to the point where I'm really happy with my style, and so now it's just refining my characters and making sure that they are true to themselves. So that's why the skin tone study is like really important to me. But yeah, I'm just going in and taking the right color. So this already, like, I know it's probably looking a little strange. Let's put his hair on him so he doesn't look weird, but already that looks way better than the left one. I know he probably looks like he like scattered highlighter all over himself, but like it does look better. There's color in the highlights, but it's not the same color as the rest of his body. In the left one, that's a like highlight, but then there's also like these like reds. It's like too much red and too much like tanness, and it just doesn't work very well. There's not a lot of like variation in the skin, so that's like really important. But basically we're just gonna take this. I know I could probably keep editing it, but I really want you guys to see like the difference as it comes together. So I'm gonna copy this layer and I'm gonna put it right here, and we're just gonna keep comparing before and after. We're gonna keep making changes until we find something that we're happy with. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna add some warm tones now. So like if I were to click on basically the way that a sphere works, or not sphere, but like the way shading works. I don't know if you guys took like art class in like high school, but they should have taught you at least like the basics. So like if you have a sphere, usually beginners think that you start, like, if we're doing skin tone, usually what they think it is you start with like your base color, right? So this is what the guy's gonna have for his skin tone, and they think that you just do a lighter color of that and a darker color of that depending on where the light is coming from, and then you just blend it. But that's not correct. So one of the things that I always stress is color. You have to use a different color, and it just depends on the color of the light. So if you have like a very like bright fluorescent light up on top, like a yellow light or something, or I said fluorescent, but like if you have a very yellow light, then this reflection up here is going to be more on the yellowy side. So it would be like more like this color right here, which is kind of what they did. Hey, Valka Show, thanks for the donation. Aww. If I'm responding to a bunch of different people, it's just because they're talking in different stream sites. I'm not crazy, okay? I swear. I mean, maybe a little crazy, but... Oh no! Is this going to be a donation war? Uh-oh. They're like talking about fighting each other right now over donations. But for example, if you had like a pink lighting, let's say the light was pink. So like say this was a really bright fluorescent, like I keep wanting to say fluorescent, I don't know why, but like your lighting would actually, like the lightest light on that skin would actually be more like a purpley tone. Does that make sense? So look, that already like kind of looks a little bit better. It's got that like nice pink color, it's reflecting that light, and then your shadow is basically whatever's around it. So like people don't really understand this, but like your skin, all things, absorb and reflect light differently. So if there is a blue, we'll just say like a really bright blue like sheet underneath this like skin, right? So like say it was resting on this blue sheet, then you would have this purple lighting, right, that would hit from the top, and then as it gets down into this blue, it would actually like shade into and reflect that blue. So it would be more like this. And look how it still looks like natural, like it still looks like skin, it's just also reflecting the things around it. And then the skin will have like this nice warm spot. So like this is like the base, right, this like color right here, but then it also has this like really warm, more vivid spot like right about here. That's usually what happens when a light hits an object. You have like this bright light, you have the shadow, but then you have a really warm spot like somewhere in there. So that's what I call a warm spot. And basically my point was we're gonna go in on Siva and add a warm spot or warm parts to his skin. So if I were to take the warmest part of his body, I would say like probably this part right here. Look how orangey, or like this right here. It doesn't really matter, both of those could work. And then we compare it to this one over here, we're gonna see kind of a bit of a difference, because look how much more like light that is, whereas mine is very dark. So we're gonna take that light one and try to kind of use that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to try to use something. Oh, hey, Dante! See, they are having a donation war right now. So we're just going to take that warm color and splash it all over his skin and correct the spots that I did bad. So we'll just go right here. Any spot that's like super warm, we're just going to softly take that color and throw it in there. Just softly. It's not going to be super harsh. Very, very softly. We're going to correct a lot of his skin. And this is, I can't ever stress it enough, I will repeat it a million times, but skin is not just white and black mixed with some tan. It is a lot of color. Ah, thanks for the donation, Valka Show. Oh my gosh, they're having a donation war right now. I wonder who's gonna win. And if you guys like what you see, be sure to share with your friends. Our community would greatly appreciate that. We are slowly growing. And I'm gonna splash some warm spots on his face. Oh my gosh, they were really going at it. Yes, this means more sim downloads. I was just kidding. I didn't say that. I don't play Sims, but... Actually, so to be honest, Sassy, what's up? How are you? It's been a while. Don't encourage me. Oh, they said don't encourage her, so they stopped donating. That's hilarious. Actually, so to talk about donations, I just recently decided that I want to try to get Clip Studio Paint when it's on sale, not full price, but so I think probably my donations are gonna next go towards that, and I want to do a review so you guys can see the difference between Paint Tool Sai and Clip Studio Paint. So that's gonna be, oh hey little Foxy is streaming. Thank you, Foxy. Wait, streaming, hosting. I'm at hosting. I'm all over the place. Man, they really want me to get Clip Studio Paint. But yeah, I saw that it went on sale like 20 bucks, and so I was like, I gotta take that chance. If it ever happens again, I want to get it because I think that that would be really good for me to kind of branch out from Paint Tool Sai. I've been trying Photoshop, you guys, and it has been like a nightmare. I'm not like, I get so mad about it because it's so different from Paint Tool Sai. Paint Tool Sai is the program I'm using right now, and it's an Asian program. And it's just really straightforward. There's not really a whole lot of like crazy stuff to it, but it is like really meant for painters. And Photoshop is more like, it has paint tools, but it's not really geared towards painters. And so the like transition has been like kind of actually really frustrating. I'm gonna change my music just because I want something more epic. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep working on this. Basically, we're just gonna keep splashing that warm color all over his body and on his face. And so like this is another great example of when light hits. So like if the light is hitting right here on his face, there's going to be a shadow, right? Obviously wherever his hairline is, but in between that there's actually going to be a bit of a warm spot. And this is like really important when you're doing like shadows and stuff. People don't understand that like they usually just do light versus dark, and I mean that's okay, but like really you can tell when a painting is awesome when they like add some like color to even their like shadow transitions. So that's like super important. Oh my gosh, thank you for the donations, you guys. I'm gonna go crazy. Maybe I can just get Clip Studio Paint full price. Oh, you want me to get some seasons? Maybe I should play it on stream. You guys would just see me make my character cute for like hours and hours and hours. Sassy! Why you no talk? Yeah. Wait, why would you think that they're R-Gage players just from their donating? I don't get it. That's so true. When you don't play R-Gage, you have money for other things. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to go in and look at some other tones that we see here in this. This is partly a study, so basically I'm just telling you guys what I'm noticing when I'm looking at this. I'm studying this like skin tone because I really want to know what other colors are out there that make a good combination. So that's what this is, concept study. So basically the other thing that I'm noticing in here is there's actually a green hue right here. Probably when it looks green to me, but probably when I color pick it, it's not going to be green. It's probably going to be more like a yellow. Yeah, I was right, like a orangey, like ashy color. One of the things that I've been noticing about like darker hues of skin is that they have like they'll go darker, right? But they also tend to get more like, they don't get more vivid. They actually get more ashy. So what I mean by that is like, what I was doing was I would just take my character and I would make it darker, and look how vivid that was. But like actually these skin tones would end up going more towards the grayscale and like being more on this side, and that's something that I was really missing. And I hope that as I keep working on this will end up looking better because I'm paying attention now, and now that I'm aware of that, I can really implement that into my artwork. So I'm actually going to take that like ashy green orangey color and ashy green orange words. Okay, anyways, we're going to take that color and we're going to use that to kind of just keep on mixing in between things. So like right here, as it's going down into the shadows, it's going to transition to like this color. And we're going to get rid of any red hues, so we're just going over any parts that got that like red purpley color. Where's Smokey? I haven't talked to Smokey in a while. I heard that the last time I talked to him, I thought that he was, what's the word? Yeah, in Korea, like for military. On leave? Not leave. What's the word? I always forget the word for it, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Nahamik's been doing his own thing. I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't really talked to Nick much, but he hasn't come around in a long time. The last time I talked to Nick, he was playing, what is it? ArcheAge on a private server. So I haven't really talked to Nick much either. You could probably find them on Discord, you know? Do you have Discord? I don't use Steam, I'm gonna be honest. People like use Steam to play games and they like ask me for my Steam account and I'm like, I don't even know like my account name. I don't even. So this is already really starting to come together. It's looking awesome. Like, I know you guys are probably like, what the heck? He looks like he was slathered in gold, and that, my friends, is the point. He's fabulous. We're gonna also get rid of that red right here and add more of an orangey tone. So this is gonna be more orange. And then add more of an orangey tone right here where the light and the dark transition into each other. We're also going to color correct his lips, so I'm going to make his lips more of that like green whatever color. It looks green to me, but it's actually not. It's like a really ashy orange. But yellows and oranges tend to look very green when you make them darker. So that's why I keep like saying it's green. Yes! We could do a movie night! Wait, who was playing Final Fantasy? Nick? You know, actually, I don't find that surprising. I tried it, but I got really frustrated with it. I don't know. I like open worlds. I'm very like picky about what types of games that I like. I have to have a game that has an open world that I can travel everywhere, and so like going into zones that are loading zones, I'm like loading screens or whatever, I get frustrated. You couldn't even swim in water when I was like on that game at the time, so I just like, I'm super spoiled with our games. I was like really frustrated about it. I think I quit right before they brought out flying mounts, so like I think they brought out griffins and I quit. Oops, his lips are not gonna be that bright. Okay, so I kind of color corrected that. We're also gonna color correct under the lip, so if your lips are very like very thin, you'll notice there won't be like a lot of shadow underneath them, but if you have very like, if your character has super thick lips and they come out like really far, you'll notice that there's going to be like a really harsh shadow right there. So see if it doesn't have like a really thick lip, so I'm just going to keep that shadow very like soft and not very like it's not going to have much harsh shading to it. The other thing about faces is that you have like, your face isn't just this like flat circle, it's got like a lot of dimension to it. So like one thing you'll notice is like your face actually has like, for example, the jaw is like lower and kind of more concave into your face right here. So like this will have more light up here, but then as the shadows like come in, they'll actually come in up to the lip right here. And people forget that a lot, that there's like, you know, dimension in the face and stuff, and as your face gets like further back towards your ears, it'll be more encased in shadow because it's like, again, it's a shape that's like got like these like grooves and stuff in it. So it's like, some people forget that about faces. Did Jacob grow a beard? I don't know who this Jacob person is. I think I met him once and I don't think we talked. I've like heard about him from like Nahamek a lot, but I only met him once and he never seemed to like be interested in the game or anything. So that's all I know of the stick-up person, if it's the same person that I'm thinking of. I am way out of the loop, huh? The next thing that I want to do is, since there's a light that's coming down onto his face, I want to drag the shadow under his nose down. So we're going to go right about there. I'm just going to drag that shadow down. The other thing that I want to do is whenever, not whenever, but like a lot of people, especially people who do anime pictures, they forget that you have like an indent in between your lip, and for some reason if you don't draw it, it just makes the face look really weird, so it's important to add that indent in there. The rule of the indent and how big it should be is generally, so like your face has a what we call a golden ratio, so it's generally accepted that the I don't know what you call that indent, but that the indent is like equal to roughly the nose and the indent going into the lip. So if your indent on your lip is like this, then you want that to be just as wide. Does that make sense? If you have like a really, like some people have like lips that are like really tight together, your indent would be like that small. So it just depends. You can play around with things. It's not like a set rule. It's just that if you follow the golden ratio, your characters will end up looking more real and more like pleasing to the eye. And if you want to do hideous characters, you just deviate from the golden ratio. So that's a really big thing. Oh, my phone is like lighting up. Oh, it thinks I'm talking to Bixby. Bixby always hears me calling it. Oh, it's doing it now even. The other thing that I want to do is get rid of the purple in his eyebrows, so you'll notice that his eyebrows are very like a dark purpley color. I don't want that. I want this like really dark color right here, and I'm going to bring that up. It's more of a dark red, and we're just going to bring that up and get rid of any purple. Okay, so let's soften out those highlights. Let's add more color to those because those are pretty yellowy green. I want to add more of like pinky, like peachy ones to soften it, and that way it doesn't look so much like gold is slathered on him. I want it to look a little bit more normal. So we're just gonna add some highlights on his like upper body, right here on his pecs, right there, and also like right in here, and right here. And soften this up here and add more of like a harsher mid-tone. Because we really want to save those highlights only for the parts that need it the most. So we don't want to overuse a highlight. That was just to show you guys kind of like where they would go. Now he's starting to feel pretty light, so I'm actually going to go in and add more of these like ashy colors over here. So we've got like an ashy brown. I'll just go in and add that around the edges of his pecs. And we'll add more like color right here. areas, like especially right here, for example, this is gonna be really, really warm and like vivid. The reason for that is because you have these like pecs that are going down into a groove, right? So because they're in this groove, there's a lot of light refracting between the two of them. So this is like going back and forth like this, bouncing. So there's a lot of like vivid, like corally colors right here. And it's the same with the rest of the body too. It'll also be like in areas like right here. It'll also be in areas right here and over here and over here. So we're just really trying to like warm this up a little bit, but not too much. We don't want it all over the body, just in really important spots. One thing that I like to do is if I'm ever unsure about how to draw a body part, I use the mirror and my phone to take pictures often. If I'm ever struggling with something, I can just do the pose myself. That's the awesome thing about like art, is especially drawing people, you can use yourself as a reference. So, oh hey, another donation! Dante, thanks! Pull up which painting? I don't know which one I did. I've done a few. The skin tone study one? Zazzy. I could use a reference, but that might be too small of a picture. Okay, let's see. Let me pull up. Nikita. Okay, yeah. Let me get Nikita pulled up. Yeah. Okay, so this is Nikita. I did a skin tone study for her, so like we can just compare before and after. This was like when I first initially drew her last year, and this one is now. Actually, I should put this like this. We'll just get rid of my camera. How about that? That's basically what I'm doing right now, is studying different skin tones. So Nikita's got like a really dark olive skin tone, but Siva, he's more, I mean, he's tan. Let's see, where's Siva? He is more tan, but he's more of like a gold olive. So that's what we're trying to study. So basically you can see kind of what I've started with and what I'm trying to fix, and then where I'm going with it. And as we progress, it'll become better and better. So that's like the point of tonight, kind of, sort of. I tried giving her, because originally when I drew Nikita she had like pink blue eyes, so I tried to give her like pink or like purple eyes to see what I thought of it. I'm not really sure, honestly. I think until I really truly understand skin tones better, darker skin tones anyways, I'm gonna keep her eyes more of a natural hazel color, just so that it's easier on the eyes until I can better understand it. I guess I don't know how to explain it better, but you guys get the point. Oh, we got a fallout. Hey, Troubled, what's up? How are you today? Okay, so I'm gonna keep working on this skin tone study. Man, I'm really craving a soda. I love how Foxy's honest. They're like, are you picking up what I'm laying down when I say quest? And she's like, probably not. That's awesome. Y'all are funny. Okay, where are you, Siva? So we're just gonna keep working on him right now. He's looking very, he just looks like he slathered makeup all over his body, especially highlighter. I don't know if you guys know what highlighter is, but it really looks like it. So I'm gonna have to like adjust that and fix it, but I'm not gonna do that just yet. But before I keep going, I'm gonna BRB real quick and get a soda. I'm back. I have soda and I have alcohol. left it. BRB real quick. Okay, I'm back now.
Take a breath, I can feel it now. Raise my head, I'm not looking down. Everything is shining out in the words where I won't be found. Take a breath, I can feel it now. Raise my head, I'm not looking down. Everything is shining out in the words where I won't be found.
I'm muted. I didn't even know. Yeah, still is awake, but that's not why I was muted. I just was silly and I forgot that I muted it. Are you gonna take a drink with me for that donation? Okay, we're gonna keep working on this. I'm just gonna try to warm him up a bit because he's still looking pretty gold. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those like darker colors that I'm studying on this skin tone sheet, and we're going to kind of go over any spots that are kind of lacking that dark hue and are too like vivid or too like overly saturated or whatever the case may be. So like if he was a dark skin tone and he had highlights on his body, they wouldn't be all over the place like these are. Like this like light color is like all over the place, and that's just no bueno. So we're just gonna go in and kind of like basically soften this up. So it's like a ashy orange. And this is good. I'm basically learning like what's acceptable and what's not for his skin tone. And once I get the basis down and I study this and I feel like I've actually learned something, then when I go to draw him in different lightings and stuff, I will know how the light reacts with his skin. And that's really important. So like I know you guys are probably like, skin's not that big of a deal, just like color him in, tan it, make him look tan. That's what I did originally, and look, he looks so burnt. He looks like he forgot to wear sunscreen at the beach. So yeah, that's why we're redoing this and reworking it. Really important. I'm gonna just darken up a lot of different places, like on the bridge of his nose, and right here, on his shoulders. So the way that your shoulder blades work, this like, or collarbone, whatever you want to call it, the way that that works is you have your, shoulder, and your muscle comes into your shoulder. Then right as your shoulder meets your body, that is where your collarbone starts. And then it comes into the neck. And so there's actually not even like a hole right here. It's actually just an indent because the pecs and the collarbone are coming into the like upper part of the body right here. So this would be really pushed together, and it also depends on like obviously how swole your character is, but it would look something like this. This is a good start for me not using a reference. What do you mean, why are you dead? I'm so confused. Oh yeah, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to all my mods who've been super helpful at keeping chat clean and not full of like gross people saying weird things and stuff. Y'all have been super helpful. The fan is getting turned on because it gets super hot in here, so if it gets annoying, just let me know and I can mute myself. So again, we're just like, I darkened everything, right? So now it's like a shade darker right here, but we still kept those really bright highlights in key areas. And then we warmed it up in certain areas. So it's already really starting to look more real. Back of your knees is ridiculous. I don't get it. Hey Dad. Are we calling Dante Dad now? This is weird. Hey Dad. What are you guys talking about? They're like talking some weird stuff in Twitch chat right now and I'm totally not keeping up. Am I getting old? So again, it just depends on how like swole your character is, but he's pretty, I mean, I would say that he's dedicated his whole life to being fit and being a master at melee combat. With that in mind, he's more like, he has to be really quick on his feet, so he's not going to be super built and like have all these like giant thick muscles. However, his body is going to be severely toned. He's probably going to have some like muscles that are going up into his neck even, but it's not going to be like crazy swole.
Empty cups, ashtrays flooded. We talk of habits, the hearts we spare. With the blue moon, I saw through you. Cold eyes in a distant stare. Don't you ask me what my tattoos mean.
Cheers.
Cause they ain't for you, and they ain't for me. I ain't getting over anyone that you can't pick me up if I don't ever fall.
I don't really want to hear this song. I want to hear something else.
Truly, step closer, it's a broken spell. Keep me up, make me feel.
Which Michael are you guys talking about? I am so confused right now. Cons? Okay. Because I know like a bunch of different Michaels, so yeah.
Follows me around everywhere I go, and I don't need your sympathy, no. I need a fucking miracle. Oh, red wine tea.
I'm the female version of a Michael. My middle name is Michelle.
Leave me here, I'll be fine. I'll wait for the stars to align. Cause oh, how the other
Oh yeah, Cons is Jacob. Okay, I'm sorry. I am uneducated swine.
never be, just
Confused by rudeness. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep on adding some parts basically. Let's look at him with his like hair now. So it is coming together, it's just still a little bit more of a struggle. I think part of the reason is that this is more of a goldy hue, so the gold, whereas with Nikita's, it was mostly like ashy colors and like ashy reds and like ashy blues, even like on the outer edge of the face. So that was easier, but the gold hue is like a mix of golds and reds I'm seeing, so it's kind of like a hard balance honestly, and I'm probably going to struggle a little bit more with this one. But I guess that's good. It means I'm learning, I guess, I don't know. Or it's bad, it means I'm not learning hard enough. I don't know, could be either or really. Siva's nickname is Goldie. he goes tanning. He like applies lotion every day to make sure that his body has like a nice shimmer to it. True story. We're adding that to the comic. We're gonna take that color and really put it right here. And if you ever feel like you're struggling, don't be ashamed to use references. So right now I do feel like I'm struggling really hard. I'm gonna go pull up some references. So we're just gonna look for people that have a similar body shape, body type, whatever you want to call it. I get the hiccups every time I drink. I get the hiccups every time I do anything. So I have references already of like bodybuilders and fit athletic people. This helps me insanely. So I'm just gonna grab some random like person's photo, crop up their head, and this is like not actually a good reference. This is too much. It's too much. Siva's not that swole. Let's see. I know I have a bunch of references. I just have to find them. Oh god, no. Yeah, I know, right? We're not going that far. Let's see. But I can't sleep, and oh god, I want to had to leave straight up. But everything I said, oh, that reference works, actually. Thanks, Date. That's super helpful. I'm gonna save that picture. We're gonna add that to my folder, and then I'm gonna go to my anatomy folder, and I'm gonna find that picture. Oh, it didn't automatically add, so I have to close it and reopen it. Oh god. This is bad. Okay, here we go. So this is a good example. This looks just like Siva. Like, it's honestly a little bit heartbreaking. I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna soften up this collarbone area. I don't want it to be so harsh of a line. I'll be fine if you ever ask me. I know it's hard, but no one said it's easy. We're gonna go into more of those like ashy red colors, so like this one and this one. I can't sleep, but I can dream of us. Now I've been seeing shit like hard cards. To burn it down, I gotta drown this out. And you said you need me to let this go, but it's who I am, or am I just losing it? Cause you said jump and I went first, but falling's always been my downfall. And you say I drink and I smoke and I talk too much, but I know you lied when you said that you just had enough and save yourself. So hear me out.
You know everybody talks, girl, and it means nothing till you let it end. If you keep second guessing, then there's only gonna be one end. But you can leave if you
We're gonna add some red in here, but we're not going to overdo it. We're only gonna add it in certain parts. So I'm just gonna try to darken up some areas with this red color. We're gonna put a red outline on the outer edges of the skin to try and I want it to feel like we're getting rid of all those highlights, because if you put too much highlight, then what you're saying basically is that his entire skin is that color, and that's not what we want. So we're just gonna go through and kind of get rid of those highlights a bit. And I think this will really help. We're gonna keep them, they're just not gonna be as harsh. Super important that there's a balance between those. And that one. And look, that's already really starting to come together. So let's just take it and compare now. It took me, what, how many tries? 3 to get to this point right here. And it's already really starting to pull together, because now I have a mix of, like I said, those orangey colors, but then I also have some like really red colors in there, but they're more still in the ashy region of the color scale, so it's more towards the gray than it is the bright red over here. Yeah, he doesn't look sunburnt like the first one. This looks sunburnt. That's too much red and not enough variation. This one I did too much highlights, so the areas where the light is going to be hitting the skin. I put too much highlight all over the body, and then I blended it out on this one, so now he just looks white with like some really weird patchy skin. But this one I blended everything together, got rid of all of the craziness in the highlights and just left only some key parts. And now it's really starting to feel like he's tan. It's not too goldy and like crazy. So that's kind of, again, this is like one of those things where you just have to practice and study over and over and over till you figure out a good balance for your art and stuff. So this isn't done yet though. This is not done. This is the best one so far out of everything that I've tried, but we're gonna work it and refine it. So now that I've got a general skin tone, I'm actually going to take it and we're going to do a bigger photo of this. So give me just 1 second, I'm gonna save the picture. Oh hey, more people from Facebook are joining. Thanks, I'm glad you guys like it. It's a work in progress. Let me save this really quick before I forget, so I'm just gonna go to my folder. I have to sneeze. No. Does anybody else actually like I hate the feeling before a sneeze, but then afterwards it's like so satisfying. But then it makes my nose like fuzzy and my face fuzzy, and I like absolutely hate it. It's a love-hate relationship. Oh my gosh, are we talking about Blessed Online right now? Just so you guys know, if I'm responding to a bunch of people or like laughing, I'm not laughing to myself. I'm on a multi-stream site, so a lot of people are going to be talking to me from different servers and stuff, or stream sites, whatever you want to call them. I'll just call them servers, whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to save this really quick before I forget. Siva, where are you? Body study. Oh, that's open. We're saving as character Siva and body study, and we'll do Siva skin tone study. And I'll put this in PSD format. But now that I've, again, I started with this, so basically, actually, I'll show you even further before that. So basically, I knew that I had this character named Siva, that's S-I-I-V-A. When I first created him, this was what I started with. And then this is all, the whole purpose of concept art is you come up with an idea that you think looks like your character, and then you copy and paste it, and you make subtle changes to their face, their structure, their lips, everything, just to find something that you think actually works for your character. So I kept working on him, and as you see, it starts to really come out more and more better. I tried to change his hair because I wasn't really sure what I wanted him to look like. And then finally I got to this and I was really satisfied with this, but I wanted him to be a tan character, and I've never really done like tan or darker skin tones before. So I took it, and instead of painting it like I should have, I took his skin and I just like saturated it and darkened it. And so now he looks burned. It gets worse. This is like the most recent one because I didn't paint it. I just literally took the skin tones that I was comfortable with and then added color, and you can't do that. So now I've gone and I took that and I've been working on his skin. So we changed it from those, that's pink, like this is all pink and reds and purples, so you can see there's like purples and some like a little bit of orange but not much, and it was too much. And then now we changed it and we added more yellows and browns and some even like really ashy colors, so it's not as vivid, it's more ashy, but that still wasn't enough. And then we just kept refining, so now we added more like warm colors, so there's a lot of like warmness on the muscles, places where like there's a lot of like muscles reflecting color off of each other because they're so close to each other. And then finally we're getting to this, and this is very refined. There's not too much highlight on the body, it's just enough. And so now that I am satisfied with this one, we're going to take it and make it a much bigger painting, and we're going to actually paint him as an official painting. So yeah, funsies! So save one more time. Where's that new painting at? Oh, yeah, we can close that. Oh, yeah, that's a reference. So now that we've kind of got that, I just want to... we can close out of that. Yeah, this is an example of like different styles of painting. So not everybody paints the same way, but that's for a different thing, a later date. More skin tone studies, because remember I said that I'm used to doing like light skin tones, and so we're now getting into the darker range for other characters who are also really important to the story. So it was important to me to get them to look as natural as possible. But now let me close out of all this now that I've saved it. Okay, so I'm going to delete all this. We're going to get rid of all that. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of any excess stuff we have on the painting. So we're going to get rid of, where is it? It's right here. Okay, so we're going to get rid of all this stuff. And we're going to make him an official painting. We're going to take it, layer copy. We're going to hide the old one, and we're going to blow this up. And usually what happens when you make a picture blown up, you will end up losing a lot of detail, so a lot of the edges are going to end up very like pixelated and blurry. So now that we've blown it up, we're going to actually go in and refine it and make it very sharp and actually look kind of real. That's really important. Let me save this as a new file before I forget. So we're going to do Siva official skin painting. I really like this song and I want to hear it again. I'm just gonna let you guys know, for people who are watching from Facebook Live, I only get, I think, 2 or 4 hours max before Facebook Live forces me to refresh the stream, so if I randomly stop and have to restart, that's why. Okay, so let's get started. Now that we've kind of got the skin tone that we want. I'm not sure. Do you guys think that I should actually put his armor on him and make it an official painting, or should we just do like a they like sat down with Siva and they were like, let us paint you with your shirt up kind of thing? Like, I don't know what I want to do, but I think the latter is kind of funny. Oh my god. I like the song. It makes me want to dance. It's like the model that comes in your art class that strips paint this naked lady. Laked, this Laked lady. Should I add armor or should I just make it a topless painting? Man, it is getting hot in here. It's summertime. There's like 2 computers in this room, so it gets super hot. I don't know if I should put armor on him. This was supposed to be a skin tone study, so I'm like, I don't want to put armor on him and ruin it. But it just seems so weird having a painting with no clothes on. Ah, what the heck. Okay, anyways, so we're just gonna go in now that we kind of have that figured out. Before I do that, I'm actually gonna open up the old one real quick. Because I don't know how to explain this better, but basically I'm just gonna open up the old one. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, the hiccups. So this was the old version, right? The reason that I'm keeping this open is because even though I made the skin correct, like the color is correct, I didn't actually go in and paint the shape of his face actually accurate, so there's some spots that are like missing and stuff. So I'm just keeping the old one open so that I can stay true to the shape of his face. So everything that I shade will actually still follow a guideline, sort of, if that makes sense. And this way it stays consistent. I'm gonna like shorten his hair. I'm just gonna go layer, copy. We're gonna give him short hair for a little bit because it's too distracting right now. Oh, it's terrible. I sneeze every time I'm at the computer. Okay, so I'm just gonna give him short hair really quick just so that I can kind of focus on his face. This is gonna kind of look awkward, I'm not gonna lie, but whatever. I just want it to be kind of okay just for a little bit. My name is Siva. I went to get a haircut, but my stylist fucked it up and dyed it white. We're just gonna chop that up a little bit. Try to make it look like hair. This isn't really a hair study, so this is gonna look a little bit awkward. I'm okay with that, but I just need something there. That way it feels like it's still Siva, because if I take away his hair, he's gonna look bald, and then if he's bald, I'm gonna be too distracted to like paint. Give him, what kind of a haircut would that be? Like this? Like, with the like point? Is that what it does? And then it like comes up into a point or something? Like, this is a really terrible. Okay, so he kind of looks like Eminem. We're just gonna keep that for now. I'm okay with it, to be completely honest. I know that's really weird, but yeah, they did like look like a kind of more like albino tan color. Like, it didn't look true to like a tan or dark skinned person. So I'm really glad that you see the progress. Like, God, it's a lot of studying, but it's coming together quicker, and that's the most important part. This is what concept art is supposed to help with. Using concept art makes you stop trying to perfect what you're doing and start trying to see what you're doing wrong and use that to study and change. Okay, so we're gonna go in and we're just gonna sharpen up his face, because if I zoom in, look how like pixelated and blurry everything is. The first thing that I want to do is I want to start with his eyes, because the eyes are literally the windows to the soul. If I start with his eyes and I make the eyes at least even with each other, then we can use those as a anchor to make sure that the rest of the face is even. So what I mean by that is like, you guys will hear me talk about it a lot, but it's called the golden ratio. What I mean by that is if you are trying to make a character more beautiful or like more realistic looking, you should be following the golden ratio, at least somewhat. That is a legit thing. You can go and look it up on Google, but basically your features all follow like a certain golden ratio to each other, and if they are within this mathematical ratio, the more beautiful your character is going to look. So if you start with the eyes and you say that the eyes are perfectly centered and that's where they are, then you can say, okay, well then the ears need to be such and such length, and then you use those and the rest of the face to balance it all out, if that makes sense. So that's kind of basically what I'm talking about. Yes, it's an educational stream. They're like all laughing and making fun of me. Yes. What's up? Soul's like looking at me like, you're crazy. At least I have a hobby. Like, cheers. Okay, so we're just gonna keep working on it basically and keep following this golden ratio while still making sure that our character looks like the original work. I'm gonna start with the eyes. And I'm going to say this as much as I say it every time. Usually when beginner artists start, they'll go into the eyes and they'll pick the whitest white. And they'll do that. And then they'll add their eye, right? That's okay. But what is better and what looks more like adds more of a pop is your eyes and your teeth have a natural tint of yellow to them, or pink sometimes, depending on your genetics. So you would actually take, what I like to do is I take the brightest bright on their face, which is right here, right? So this is like the brightest, or even the tip of his nose is super bright, and I go just a little bit lighter than that, but not too light. Like, look, I'm not even touching the white over here. I'm like all the way over in this area, and I'll use that to go in and add white to the eyes. And the reason this is nice is because not only is it not too white, but if you use a darker like color, like that cream color that I'm using right now, when you go in and you add like the pops of like reflection on the eye, now you can add like a white reflection, and it'll really make the eyes pop without the white here taking away from it. So that's like super important. So that's kind of why you want to do it like that instead of the other way. So I'm just going in. The next thing that people will sometimes forget is when they start painting, they only add the white of the eye and they don't like add any shading whatsoever to the eye. I know it seems really tedious, but like your eyes do have depth to them, so if you have a light source coming from any which direction, you still need to be adding shadows to the eyes themselves. So we'll go in, we'll pick this color, and we're gonna add more of like a, because his body is very like orangey and pink, we're gonna pick like a color that like reflects that onto his eyes. So we'll pick more of like an orangey off-white, or even a pink off-white, or a red off-white. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you're trying to go for with your painting. And we're going to use that to shade. So this part of the lid is all going to be encased in shadow because the light is coming from above. And then as the eyelid comes out, this will all be in light, so we don't have to mess with that. So this is where the shadow needs to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna like put it in there. This is supposed to be straightening everything up. It's not about making it perfect just yet. We can make it perfect later. And then we'll just go in and we'll take the eye color and we're going to make that refined because it's so blurry right now. My bad. Yeah, he has glasses now. Wait, what's going on? I'm so confused. I'm sorry if I'm really terrible at keeping up with chat, you guys. It's just because I get so focused on drawing that like I don't sometimes like think to read chat. I just get like super into whatever it is that I'm working on. I'm not gonna make this perfect. I'm just gonna add his pupil in right here, and then we can always go back and change it later. I'm also gonna add a dark blue going across the top of his eyes just to hint that there is a shadow there. And we're gonna do that on this side as well. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna add his pupil right here, right? But we're also going to add like a really dark blue just across the top, and we'll come back to it and make it perfect. Right now it's just about centering his face. The next thing that I want to do for the eyes is I want to make them look like actual eyes and not a blurry blob. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make, oops, I need to soften this brush. It is way too harsh. So usually when I'm doing eyes, I like to use a very soft brush. Like I turn the density down to right about here. What the density does is if it's like super dense, you're not going to see any color leak through. If you make it less dense, it means less paint is coming through, so it's going to be more of a buildup. So I'm going to make my brush less dense so that I can work on the eyes, because eyes have a nice soft buildup to them. And we're just going to kind of bring these in a little bit. A lot of beginner artists don't think about the shape of the eye, so I can't words anymore. I'm just gonna do a stream where I mumble the whole time. I swear, it's gonna happen one day. And you guys are gonna pretend to understand me. But like, usually beginner artists, when they start painting, they think that the eye is like that big and then you just have this like lid or whatever with like eyeliner on it. And that's not it at all. The eye is like roughly, there's a ratio. So if your pupil is roughly this big, then it would be such and such of a white to the eye. But anyways, your eye is this ball that's encased in a socket. So if that's the case, then when you're drawing this, you need to make sure that your eyes have a like a kind of like bulge right here underneath and on top. So that's why when people like open and close their eyes, you see this like lid sticking out. Some people have more prominent of a lid. So like some people have like, it's like super prominent and you can see like this like just a lot of like lid coming out, and it just depends on like how far back their eyes are sunk into their face or how far out they're like pushing out. If your character has eyes that are like really bulging out, then your lids are going to be very, very, very prominent. If they had eyes that were popping out that much, then you would add a highlight to indicate right here that there's a bulge coming out, and then you would add a socket right here. So this is all the eye right here. Like, it's not this little eyeball with like this line around it. It's this entire area that's sinking into the face, and you have to be sure that you're really saying that. And even though I exaggerated it and I made it way more like prominent than what it would typically be for him, that looks loads better than what this is over here. So you have to really take into consideration, like, little details like that really make a difference.
Is life worth living when you need to get by?
So we're just gonna go in. He doesn't have eyes that are super far out. They're actually pretty sunk deep into his face. So his socket is gonna be very, very soft. It's just gonna kind of shade under here, but it's gonna be a very soft transition. And there's going to be that like little light bit right here, and then it goes back into a shadow as it comes up into the lid. So I'm not going to worry about the line of the eye just yet. I'm only worried about the entire shape of the eye. So we're just going to soften up that line over here as well. I don't want that to be really harsh. Depending on how far back in your eyes are or how far pushed out they are, you'll have a highlight right here. So like, for most people, I would say like 90% of people, they'll have a highlight at the top of their brow. And women especially will know, like women who do their makeup a lot, they know that like adding a highlight up at the top of the brow is actually really important. But yeah, so his face is kind of a little bit sunken, so there's actually going to be like a little bit of a highlight right there, and then as it goes down into the socket, this is all going to be encased in shadow. And the shadow should always go into the tip of wherever the eyebrows are. If I say that the eyebrows are this short, like if we go back and we say that the eyebrows are this short, then his nose needs to come out all the way where the eyebrows end, and that shadow needs to come in only to where the eyebrow ends. So that's the golden ratio. Certain things, like whatever you say about one thing of the face, you're going to be following it with other parts of the face, if that makes sense. So his eyebrows go all the way in. That means that the shadow underneath, the shadow right here, that's going to also go all the way in to right about here, which means that the bridge of his nose is going to start right about here, and then it's going to go down into the rest of his face right here. And that is the golden ratio, and it's super awesome because the more you start to understand it, your paintings will come together so much quicker because you already know like how things are supposed to kind of flow together, and it makes for just, honestly, it makes like drawing 20 billion times easier because there's lots of little tricks and stuff that you can use to like help yourself. So I'm gonna make his eyebrows not so fuzzy. I'm gonna like actually go in and detail them a little bit and kind of like make them feel like real eyebrows. And there's all kinds of different eyebrow shapes, but I'm not really too worried about making this look perfect. Again, this is more about a skin study than it is like a face type study, I guess you could say. So I'm just gonna try to add detail to his eyebrows, but I'm not gonna like do a crazy long walkthrough about like every single thing on the body. So we're just gonna go in. Basically the way that I do eyebrows when I'm painting on digital, I don't know about traditional because it's been so long since I've really done like a person, but basically there's different ways you could do it. You could literally take it and like, if this is the eyebrow color, then you would just like take it out and drag it out and make like a bunch of little hairs and stuff, but I don't always do that. Usually I'll do it the opposite. So I'll go onto the face color and I'll take the face color down into the eyebrow, and that way it feels a little way softer. Just, I don't know, it just looks better to me, and make it a mess. It's never perfect. Your eyebrows are never ever perfect. Sometimes there's little wisps and stuff that stick out and go in opposite directions, and that's okay. Your body is not perfect, trust me. And you'll go over here and wisp those out as well. And I'm going to do that on this side as well. So I'm just going to take that color, that skin tone, and drag it through the edges of the eyebrow. Notice that when I'm drawing the eyebrow, I don't go and I don't sit there and I don't do every single little hair. Like, that would be so tedious, and it would honestly kind of look dumb anyways, because if you do every single hair, it starts to look fake and stringy. I mean, you could do that if you wanted, but it's better to treat hair more like a form first, and then after you get the general form, then you go through and you add little wisps on the end and cut through it a little bit and make it feel a little bit more natural. So we're just gonna push this in a little bit. There's too much shadow right here. Like, I want gum right now. What kind of gum do you like? Spearmint, peppermint, juicy fruit, juicy juice? What is it called? I don't even know. So another thing that you'll probably see me doing a lot is I flip my pictures a lot, and those of you who have been around for a while know that I'm just trying to make sure that there's no errors. But if you're new and you're not really sure, the reason that I flip my picture a lot is because your eyes are really good at filling in details that are missing sometimes, and so it's good to take a picture that you're used to looking at from this angle and flipping it completely, because if you flip it, now it's completely at a different like perspective than what your eyes and your brain were used to, and so you'll immediately see everything that could be wrong with that picture, and you'll be able to quickly fix those errors. So it's good to be able to like flip. Sorry if you can hear people in the background, they're playing Fortnite right now. So you're probably gonna hear a lot of cursing and stuff. Just saying. I'm gonna go in and make sure that the eyes are completely even. So I did this eye, but I did not do the right or whatever left eye, right eye. It's right now, but I'll flip it eventually. So we're just gonna go in and make sure that it's completely even with this eye over here. There's a few different ways that you can do that. The way that I usually do is I will just make my own, like, what do you call it? Like I'll take a box through here and I will add another layer and I'll make it really, like a really bright color, and I'll just take a line and follow it down the edge of the box because I know the box will be a perfect true line. Whereas if I drew it, it wouldn't always be perfect. So I like to do that, select clear, and so now I have a perfect 90-degree angle, and then I'll layer copy it and I'll flip it horizontally onto itself, and I'll line them up with each other. So now we have a 90-degree angle going in this way, and we know that it's perfectly even going that way because when I put the lines over each other, it's not like all the way down here, it's not all the way here, it's like perfectly centered with itself. And then I'll do it again, so I'll layer copy it and then I'll flip it upside down, so it's gonna go vertically this time, and we're just gonna take it and put it right here. So now we know that this is an absolutely true perfect square, no question about it. And then what I like to do now that I have my perfect square is I'll take it, and it doesn't matter where you put it on the face, it just needs to be consistent is the key. So the best thing that I like to do is I'll line it up with the top of the eye that I like the most. So I like this like right eye because it's already like kind of somewhat started and complete almost. So if that is true, we're going to use that as a center to judge if this one is true. So look, this one's not at all even touching the line up here. And that's kind of how you tell if something's even or not. So this isn't touching at all. Another thing that I like to do is I'll make a grid. So I'll copy whatever it is that I have. It doesn't matter how you do it, it just needs to be consistent and perfect. So I'll make a grid, make sure that it is truly perfect with your thing. So I'll put a grid like at the bottom of the eye that I like, which is the one that I completed, right? So this, I'll say that this is the bottom right here at the edge of the socket, and then we'll compare the two to each other. So if this is a true line or whatever, then we can come over here and look how like far down the eye goes into that like line or whatever. That is not correct at all. So that's a key that you can do to kind of judge that things are accurate. Basically what I'm going to do now that I have that, I'm going to go in and make it accurate. So we're just going to take that eye that we think is hideous, like holy crap, Siva, your face is like lopsided, what's going on? We're going to raise it up. So we're just going to make sure that the eye is touching where it should be, so roughly right about here. So it needs to be roughly right about here, and then it comes down away from that like that grid that we have, and it goes into a point, right? And then the bottom of the eye doesn't even touch, like the bottom of the eye is right here, right? So it doesn't even touch right here. The thing that's touching right here is the like wrinkles under his eye. So we need to copy that. We need to come under here and say, okay, this is all skin right here, and it goes roughly up here, right? And then we have a the wrinkle under the eye and the eye like bulging out, and that's what's touching the red line. And that's just one of those ways that you can quickly see if something is like in error. Sorry if you guys can hear Zill in the background, he's like screaming right now. But yeah, so that's a way that you can tell if something is even. So now that I kind of know that, I can go in and use my eyes as the center of the face to kind of judge if other things are correct or incorrect. So now we can kind of, we don't even have to have this anymore, this grid, because now that we know that the eyes are centered, then we'll come in and we'll fix other parts of the body that are not centered. So that's one of those awesome things about like using grids or like the golden ratio to see if things are lining up properly. So now I'm just going to fix his face and make sure that everything really truly is centered. We brought his eye up, so we need to bring his iris up as well. So we're just going to erase all this extra stuff, and we're going to move his iris up and center it. So now we have a somewhat centered eye. Again, this is not going to be perfect. This is just to show you guys my thought process as I'm going through it and making a character design. It's going to be kind of a quick study, but now we're going to add the bottom of his eye right about here. And we're going to add a lighter white right here because the light is hitting this part of the eye, right? We're also going to adjust the inside of his eyelid as it comes down into the tear duct. So this needs to be a little bit shaped a little bit differently, so we're just going to pull that out a little bit. The next thing that I want to do is I want to take that eyelid at the top. Your eyelid doesn't stop right here like this picture is doing right here. Your eyelid will actually come down all the way into like right about here, and it goes down into the point obviously of your like eye socket. So that's something to like take into consideration when you're drawing. And we're gonna bring that up. And it also, again, it depends on like what shape eyes you have, but for him it should definitely be coming down and like touching. And now we're gonna soften all of this up. So we're going to make his cheek actually soft right here and get rid of any details that are messed up. And now when we zoom out, now that we know that that is true, and it kind of looks a little weird right now because now that we figured that out, we can see things that are already wrong with the rest of his face that are not lining up properly as they should be. And that's kind of one of those things where you have to like, this is why concept art is really important, because if you go in and you make sure that it's like you get the form right first, like the general shape and the design of the face, and then what you do after you figure that out is you make it perfect. So after you've made it a roughed in sketch that's not supposed to be perfect at all, then you go in and you refine it and you make everything perfectly even the way that it should be, and then you go in and you refine it and make it a true painting. So yeah, I didn't really make his face perfect, I just kind of did whatever, and that's why I'm kind of suffering now as I'm streaming. But I can work with it and I can fix it. So we're just going to soften up the eyeballs a little bit. We don't want a super harsh line for his eyes. I'm just showing you guys exactly like what you should be starting with when you're doing like eyes and eye sockets and stuff like that. But we're going to go in and soften all this up. Like this up. And we'll get rid of this. He doesn't have a very prominent like eye socket, so we're actually going to take all that and just kind of make it soft. I don't really care. I don't want it to be super like lit up or anything or bulgy. I just want it to be kind of like that. Blur it out even. And we're going to take this. So as your nose comes into your face, it doesn't just automatically flow up into the top of your face. It actually comes in, and then there's a wall right here, and then your face comes out, like, and the forehead comes out. So there will always be like a shadow right here. Some people have a more prominent shadow. If you have a person who has a very arched and curved nose, then basically you would just add a shadow right here and right here to indicate, and a highlight right here to indicate, hey, there's this like piece of the body that's curving out a certain way. But he doesn't have like overly harsh of a curve. He's kind of got an arched nose, but it's not super harsh. So I'm only going to make this like kind of a soft indication. And he's got a kind of wide nose as well, so I'm going to kind of bring out this highlight. Basically what this is saying, by putting a really wide highlight in here instead of like a really thin one, if I put a very thin one, basically what I'm saying is that his nose is very thin. So we would actually take the shadows and thin them out and put them right here. But since he has a wide nose, I'm going to bring it out kind of like this. And there's not going to be like a super harsh light on here. It's going to be more of a general like, kind of like this. Just to indicate that he has a very wide nose, because now that it's wider and it's not at a point, it's not like soaking up a lot of light at a like, because if you have a pointed object, it's like, where's all the light gonna hit? It's gonna hit like right on that pointed area. So because it's not like that, we're not going to add a very harsh point right here. We're just gonna kind of softly add a little bit of a highlight there. And then I'm going to straighten his nose out. So if we say that this is the center of the face, then there's obviously some errors with his nose that I can already see. The first one is this needs to come in a little bit, or this one needs to come out. So I'm going to bring this one out just because I don't want his nose to be too tiny. He's a very, I don't know the word, but anyways, yeah, so I don't want his nose to be too tiny, so that's why I'm bringing it out. The next thing that I'm noticing is the tip of his nose. The tip is okay, but the nostrils aren't matching up, so I'm just going to match one of these nostrils to the other. So I'm going to make this one sharper, because this one's very sharp, this one's more curved. So I'm making it softer on this side. And look, that's already starting to look even. I'm going to add his nostrils in there. They're going to be super dark right about here, but they're not going to be super prominent because he's not looking at us like this or like up or anything like that or like at an angle. He's looking at us straight on, so if you're looking straight on, you're really not going to see like much of the bottom of the nostril, so we're only going to add just a slight indication that there's a nostril there. We're going to add lots of shadow underneath the nose because the light is coming from above, so we're going to drag that shadow down into the crease of his lip right here. So the crease of his lip needs to be centered. That's another thing that I'm noticing as I look at this. If this is truly the center of his face, look how wide this lip is versus this one on this side. So these are little things that you can use as indicators that you're that you're doing things right or wrong, you know. So if and it just depends. If I think that he has a really wide mouth, then what I would do is I would make this lip match the other one. If I think that he has a very short mouth and it's just kind of really small and like indented or whatever, I would make this lip match this one. Does that make sense? So he has a very like wide, thin set of lips, so we're actually going to just kind of match this one to the other one. I'm sorry if you can hear people in the background. They're playing Fortnite right now and we share an office. So yeah. What? Inconceivable. What? I'm retarded, I know. But yeah, so we're just going to keep working on this. I'm going to make him even more true to himself. And I'm going to keep talking through it, but if you guys think that I talk too much, just let me know. One thing that I like to talk about a lot when I'm drawing is a lot of people, when they go in to draw mouths, they always think that mouths are like if we wanted him to smile, they think that it's about just drawing a line, right? And they think that the line is what matters most, so they'll like, if they drew this, they would do something like that, kind of, sort of, and they'd put like a top lip and a bottom lip. And I mean, you could kind of do that, I guess, but that's kind of the beginner approach. The awesome thing about lips is that they're very suggestive. So like, lips are more about the outer points of the mouth than they are the inner line. So like, if you want somebody to kind of have a slight smirk, adding just a little bit of a curve on the outer edge of the lip makes more of a difference than if you were to try and curve the entire lip. So like, lips are really like one of my favorite things to do, just because they're so like, they're just beautiful and very suggestive and subtle, and like, they're not harsh at all. I love the shading on them a lot. It's like I said, it's like, it's so backwards than what people really think of. But I'm gonna go in and just give him a very blank resting bitch face. So we're just gonna go in and add the point, fairly normal. It's pretty centered. Thanks for hanging out, Foxy. I was gonna draw the verb challenge, but I'll wait, or I'll have to wait till I'm done with my study, I guess. Challenging myself to stick to my schedule and learn things. If I'm talking a lot to other people, it's just because I'm streaming on a multi-stream site, you guys, so like, I'm streaming on Twitch right now, Facebook Live, and Picardo, and a few other things, so like people are going to be talking to me and not everybody's going to see everybody else chatting. I think I can get an overlay that like shows everybody chatting, but I feel like because this is an art stream, I don't want to like clutter up the screen with a bunch of stuff. So I try to just keep it condensed to like one corner. Would be the restream overlay. I just want you to be happy. I love the song. Just want you to be happy. There's an alarm going off in the background. BRB real quick. You to find myself. Will you remember me? 'Cause I'll remember you, yeah, you went out and found somebody new, and that still hurts. It's taking everything inside my bones to say these words, even if it's not with me. I just want you to be happy. Sorry, I have one more hour and then I'll have quiet time, finally. But I'm looking at this, and one of the things that I'm noticing, I kind of don't really like the shape of his eyes, so I'm actually going to change them and kind of bring them, I think down a little bit is probably going to be what I want to do. So I'm just going to go in and kind of fix those a little bit, not like drastically, but just a little bit more than what they are right now. So we're going to drag this down. I could take the entire eye and drag it, but really I should be in the habit of making quick changes without like without cheating too much. I call it cheating, but it just depends. I'm trying to force myself to study right now and get quicker at certain things. So we're just gonna kind of bring his eyes down. I had this debate with Dante the other day, didn't I? Like, we felt like you can draw on a painting program. Can you turn your alarm off? BRB real quick.
We should leave our lovers and be with one another. Run your fingers through my hair and hide under my covers. We should leave our lovers, we should run after each other. We can share our secrets till they swallow one another. We should leave our lovers, we should leave our lovers. But you'll never leave your lover, no, you'll never leave your lover. No. We should leave our lovers, we should leave our lovers. I need you like no other, no, I'll never find another.
Okay, I'm back. Cheers! This is to celebrate a successful dark skin tone study. I'll just show you guys the progress that I've made so far. What? No, that's mine. I'm drinking. What were we debating? Oh yeah, we were like debating what is cheating or not, like when you're drawing and you're using a brush and the brush has a pre-made texture like leaves or like mountains or whatever, and if that, like, incorporating that to your painting is like technically cheating or not. I remember us having a talk about it. I don't know how in-depth it was, but like so like every time I say that something is cheating, I'm like, but it's already there for my use, like is it truly cheating? I think it depends on like what level you're at, not so much whether it's cheating or not. So like if you're brand new and you're learning how to draw something, you shouldn't be using texture brushes. You should be trying to like learn how to do certain things. It's okay if you want to just quickly fill in the gaps or whatever, but like as you're learning something, you should be challenging yourself to be doing things by hand or like trying different techniques, whatever like works for you, whether it's skin tones or like whether it's like foliage brushes, like learning how to paint foliage first. And then as you get better and you know like your capabilities and stuff, then you can use shortcuts or whatever it is to like make your artwork come out quicker and quicker. So I don't think that it's cheating necessarily. I think it just depends on like what you're trying to do. And that's the interesting thing about digital art that people like to debate, is like some people think that digital art isn't real art just because there are shortcuts and stuff, but it's like I mean, it's, I don't know, I think it's just as awesome. It just depends. I love the song. I want to repeat it. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep working on the skin tone study, refining his body, because like I said, I kind of zoomed him in, or not zoomed him in, but like made him bigger than the original drawing. Like here's the original, so it's like way tiny, and then I made him like 20 times bigger, so now there's a lot of detail that's lost. So I'm just gonna keep working on that, and I don't think I'm really gonna talk through this part. I think I'm just gonna kind of jump right in and get to the parts that are like important to me. So I'm gonna mute for a bit because I've got like 30 minutes before I have total peace and quiet.
We should leave our lovers, we should run after each other. We can share our secrets till they swallow one another. We should leave our lovers, we should leave our lovers. But you'll never leave your lover, no, you'll never leave your lover. No. We should leave our lovers, we should leave our lovers. I need you like no other, no, I'll never find another. No. Meet me in the silence, I'll let you cut me open. Hold me from the inside out, slow motion. I feel you in my blood, baby, bring your body closer. Love me with your side eyes, drain me of my color. We should leave our lovers, we should leave our lovers. But you'll never leave your lover, no, you'll never leave your lover. No. We should leave our lovers, we should
One thing that's super important when you're painting a person's face is that there's actually, like, a lot of people will just like highlight the cheekbones, but one thing that's like super important is actually taking that highlight and dragging it up into the eye. So your cheeks, like, they're just like any other muscle or like fatty piece of your body. They don't like just sit there and hang. They also like merge into other parts of the body. So like there's, like, you'll notice with like muscles, for example, they like get pulled down into something. So they always have some kind of like teardrop shape to them or some kind of like pool to them. For example, the pecs have these like pools in them that like pull them in the right direction. So your muscles are always like being pulled into different parts of the body, and it's the same with your cheeks. Like you have your cheeks and you'll highlight them, but there's also a highlight that should be going into the inner part of the cheek right here. That's really important. And it's important to not forget the highlight right here on the inside of the eye, because the light will actually hit right there. Yes, thick cheeks, hella thick. Hella thick. That's how we like it here. Yes, it seems like I am talking to a lot of people because I am. How are you, AK Knight? What's up? I'm streaming on a restream site, so I'm gonna have like multiple like sites and like people talking to me. I'm new to Picardo, but I've been streaming on like Twitch and other sites for a little while, so there's that. I'm not crazy, I swear. I'm not just like talking to myself, you guys. Like, I can't say that enough, but yeah. But yeah, so we're just going to take that highlight and drag it into the inside of his face, but we're not going to take it too far. The other thing that I want to do is I want to soften up this highlight and start like actually making his face all blend together perfectly.
But it's not my fault that you tried to make me yours when I'm good without you. Sorry, but I can't say no to your body on my body. Boy, I'll let you hold me close, but then I gotta go. 'Cause I don't wanna give you all my time, and I don't wanna give you all of me, but I wanna give you one more night.
Yep, that's just the voices of my head. Thank you, Dante, for modding chat and just being there when sometimes I'm not there fully. I get really into my drawings, so sometimes it takes me a while to respond. If I do take a long time to respond, it's not because I don't care. I just haven't read it yet. Usually whatever it is that I'm doing takes all of my attention. If I don't put all of my attention on it, then it comes out not quite as well, or I forget what I'm doing because I'm super forgetful. Really forgetful.
Sorry, but I can't say no to your body on my body. Boy, I'll let you hold me close, but then I gotta go. 'Cause I don't wanna give you all my time, and I don't wanna give you all of me, but I wanna give you one more night. I don't wanna give you all my time, and I don't wanna
Oh shit, they're on Twitch now! What?
give you one more night.
What's up? Welcome to our Twitch chat. I'm also on Facebook Live as well. I just started Facebook Live this last week. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like it. I think it's really tedious because Twitch like just lets you stream for as long as you want, right? But like Facebook Live, you only get like what, 2 or 4 hours or something, and you have to like refresh your stream key, and you can't just stream live. You have to first stream in OBS, and then you have to click live or whatever and make it go. So it's like, ugh, it's just one of those like extra things that like, I don't know. I don't like tedious little things. I'm really like, I'm weird about stuff like that. I'm like super nice to people, and I don't ever get mad, like, or if I get unhappy about something, I'll tell somebody, but it's always like in a very, like, I'm never really angry, I guess you could say. But like when it comes to dysfunctional stuff, like electronics or like dysfunctional websites, I get really mad. I'm like, this shouldn't be this way. Like, I get so mad. Yep. We're pretty laid back. We don't really have too many rules. Just be respectful. That's it. Oh hey! Yes! Y'all! Would you like me to call you A Knight, or would you just like to be called Knight, or... Wait, is 96 supposed to be 69? Oh, shit. Yes, we always appreciate the support. terrible. I had to think about it. Sorry. What are you doing, Knight? If you're on Picardo, I'm assuming you like to draw? Or was it? It's not Picardo. What's the other one? That wasn't Picardo. Smashcast. What do you do on Smash? It's 96, it's not 69 backwards. Please don't fuck with me, you guys. I need to know, this is important. I'm sorry if you can hear people in the background. I love this song.
The brightness of the sun will give me just enough to bury my love.
One of these days, I'm gonna like stream and I'm gonna sing, but I'm gonna like totally butcher the song, and it's gonna be like the greatest thing ever. I mean, I can show you the next time I mix my drink. Honestly, you're the first person that I've got on Smashcast. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I get a few people on Picardo and then a lot of people on Twitch usually, but like, I don't know what it is about Smashcast, but I don't get anyone on there. I don't check it because I'm like, nobody is on there. But like, I'm trying to stream on multiple sites, so that's the reason that I chose that. But I'm mostly like Twitch.
Brightness of the sun will give me just enough.
So something that a lot of people forget is that when your like cheeks come down into your face and your lips, there's actually like, there's an indent here, true, yes, but it doesn't stop there. Wait, there's more. It actually curves up and then comes out to the lip right here. So this will actually, and it just depends on your character if they have like, you know, some people do actually have like this whole, I don't know what you'd call this area, but like it'll actually be very far forward. And some people it's really flat against their face. So with Siva, I don't think that there's like going to be overly prominent of a highlight here, but there is going to be some highlight here. So this is going to get highlighted a little bit. So that's something to keep into consideration when you're drawing your characters, is like what shape of the lips and the area around them, the fat and stuff around them, like what kind of shading are you giving it. I'm going to kind of just add a little bit more red around his eyes. He's supposed to be kind of like, I'm not really sure what the word is for it, but for some reason I really like characters that have a lot of like redness to their nose and to the like outskirts of their eyes. I don't know why I like that, but I just think that it feels better, or like feels more like, I don't know the word for it, but it does something to the face. It does something. So I'm just gonna add that bit of something on his face. Oh god, we're getting pretty silly in here, I'm sorry. I'm strange. I'm also gonna add just a really bit of like red, or even this orangey tone like on the underside of his nose, because this is like where the, like at the bottom of the nose, it's like close to the skin around it, so there's going to be a lot of light reflecting back and forth, so there's going to be a really warm spot like under the nose. So it'll go into shadow, but then it'll like refract or whatever. I don't know the word. I call it backlight, but basically like, do I have that reference pulled up? This is what we were talking earlier about, how like when you're shading a circle, you will have your light part right, and then you will have your midtones, your midtones and your warm tones, and then it'll have a shadow, but then there will be this area that's like backlit right here, and what that means is that it's whatever the object is around it. If there was a sheet right here that was really blue, that blue color is going to refract. I always want to say refract, reflect. I don't know the difference, but anyways, it's gonna pop back onto this like surface right here. So you're actually, typically what you would do is you would add that color in right here. So you would just do a soft shade of like a mixed hue. So you would do something like that. That's a mix of this and this right here. So I call it a backlight. I don't know the official term for it, but anyways, that's basically what I'm saying about his skin right now. So like there's some areas on his, where is it? There are some areas on his body where the muscles are really close to each other, and because they're so close to each other, there's going to be these areas of like super warm, vivid colors because it's just reflecting. I give up. I'm done. No more words. I can't even do it anymore. It's reflecting. We're done. We're just gonna mumble the rest of the stream. But yeah, it's the same with his nose. So his nose is like becoming like a surface where they're almost so far turned that they're like almost matching each other. So the underside of his nose will have that like same backlight or whatever it is. If you can someone find the correct term? Like that would make me so happy if someone could find the like actual term. I will die super happy if you can find the actual term. I just call it a backlight because that's what it feels like to me. It just feels like a literally a light at the back of the body. I'm gonna also add a little bit of that middle, whatever you call it. If someone knows the word for that, I forget it every time. So this is important because wherever the light is coming from, it's going to change how you're going to shade this little area right here. So if the light, for example, was coming from the, we'll just say the right, then you would go in and you would only shade, because this is a divot, right? It dips into the skin and then it comes out this way. So you would only shade this part light and this part right here, and this one would be like encased in shadow a little bit. Not that dark, but you get the point. So like all of this would be lit up, this would be dark, and this would be light, because those are the surfaces that are facing the light. So you have to keep in mind where your light is coming from. Right now the light is coming from above, so we're actually really not going to see a whole lot of this like divot right here. Philtrum. It's like a filter, but a philtrum. Thank you, Dante. Reflected light. Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh. Now I can go on with my life feeling like I kind of know something. But yeah, so we're just going to drag the shadow of his nose down because there's a light coming from above, not from the side, not from underneath, it's from above. So we're just going to drag the shadow down. We're also going to add a little bit of shadow to this, and then we're also going to add a bit of highlight to the tops of the lips right here, mostly like right here and right here, but still a little bit right here. And the reason for that is because this is the most far forward part of his face, aside from his cheekbones up here and the top of his nose. So this is actually going to catch a lot of light, even though there's a divot here. And it just depends on how like thick their lips are. If you have super hella curved, like puckered lips, obviously that reflection is going to be different. But for him, this is what we're going to settle with. And I haven't really gotten into the like making his what am I trying to say? I haven't added like the brightest bright on his face just yet, so I'm not going to focus too hard on this part right here, but we know that it's there and it'll be defined later, so I'm just gonna keep it kind of like that for now. So this is starting to really like feel like a face. It's gonna take some work obviously, but it'll really come together soon. This is just roughing everything out and softening the under part of his eyes because they're really not soft right now. I just kind of like blotched in the color. So I've done so much concept art at this point that like I've gotten into the habit with all of my paintings of just blotching everything in and coming back to it later. So sometimes things will look really weird to people, but everybody's patient enough to keep watching. So yeah, there's that. Thanks you guys. You believe that my paintings will come out okay. Sorry if you can hear them in the background. I have like 20 more minutes and then I'll have alone time. But yeah, let's zoom out. Let's put his hair back on him. And this is already a really good start. It still needs a little bit of work, but I'm pretty happy. It's a good start. So if we go and look at his eyes a little bit, it does kind of feel like there's a like push up with his cheekbones, so his eyes aren't like sagging down. They're kind of more like going up into the pupil. So I'm just gonna try to copy that up here. Basically I'm gonna take that like cheekbone and make it curve upward like this. And make it curve upward like this. And then we're also gonna go in on the actual shape of the eye itself. And we're gonna push that in a little bit. I'm not even gonna use the blackest black. I'm only gonna use like something slightly lighter, like a gray blue. And we're just gonna push that in a little bit, just to kind of match it. That feels a little bit better. It probably looks weird right now, but I promise it'll come together. Stay tuned. Will sincerely Lavelle ever figure out this drawing? It's gonna come together slowly because Nikita was like a female and I'm more used to females than I am males. But it'll come together. The other thing that I want to do is really define his nose. So basically, like, some people have very like soft nostrils, but for this character I want them to be kind of really defined. We're just gonna go in and add a shadow behind the nostrils at the bottom part, coming up a little bit, but then as it comes up into the rest of the face, we're not really gonna have much of a shadow there because it's coming into the light. My leg is going dead. Ah, it's going numb. That's not good. It's going numb. No. I love the song. Okay, anyways, so again, like, it just depends on your character's face shape, but like if your character has like a very flat nose and it just kind of blends into like the nostrils or whatever, you wouldn't put much detail here. You would just kind of make it like this, right? So that's all one flat surface. But with Siva's nose, it has this like upside down octagon? Hexagon? I don't even know. It has like this upside down thing. I can't right now because I'm tipsy, but like it has this upside down triangle like thing going on right here, and then it comes down to the nostrils. So with that in mind, basically we're going to add a shadow right here, and that's saying that it's a different surface. So there's a shadow there, and then it's coming down into his nostrils. So we have a different elevated surface right here and right here, and then we'll add a highlight onto his nostrils to kind of make it feel like an upside down pentagon. Thank you, Dante. You're like my savior right now. I bet people who are watching right now on Facebook Live are like, what is going on? But yeah, so we're just gonna do that, and then there. So now it feels like his nose is actually like coming, like we have this like wide nose right here, and then it comes down onto a different level, and then you have the nostrils at the base of the cheeks or whatever.
Oh shit!
So that's really important. I'm sorry if you guys can hear them screaming in the background. They are playing Fortnite right now, so they're gonna be a little bit loud. What? What?
Wow.
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 Wow. That's in health left. You got the one shot of the pickaxe.
Such passionate Fortniting, yes! What? That's what he said the other day. He was like playing, and he was like, what? And we've just been teasing him since. It's pretty funny. What's everybody doing tonight? I feel like there's so many lurkers right now, and not that that's an issue or anything, it just like makes me nervous. So we're just gonna keep working on it. I still feel like, let's see, his eyes need to be changed a bit. So like if we look at his eyes over here, they have a very, very soft curve. But over here they more so go like this and then they go out, and I don't really like that, so I'm just going to soften up the curve on his eyes. So I'm going to actually widen them a bit. This is one of those things where you really have to pay attention to the details on your character, because if you don't, they'll end up not looking like themselves, and sometimes that can be really frustrating. So we're just going to soften up the curve right here and make it a little bit easier. Wow. Oh wait, wow doesn't have an H in it. Wow, yes, Dante. Dante's got it. I wish you could type in all chats, that way everybody can see what you're like saying. It's pretty funny. One thing that I am also noticing about his eyes is they curve up this way. So like they go down and then they come up, and I want to just kind of really try to copy that over here. Because Siva, you kind of look a little weird right now. There we go. So we'll just make that curve so it goes up and then it kind of comes down into a curve, but then it goes back up. But it's going to be really subtle. I'm not going to like sit here and make it perfect. So that's really kind of coming together. Let's see. I want to kind of just bring this up a little bit more. Just a little bit more. He still looks a little strange, but it's just gonna take some work, basically. That's all it is, just work and studying. I actually do kind of want to pull the, what do you call this? Like the bottom lid down. Wow! Yes! Oh, are we gonna watch me mix my drink again? Was that what you wanted, Dante? I'm almost done with my other drink. Give me a second. He's like so curious how much alcohol I put in my drink. Why were you drinking for them? Why didn't they just drink for themselves? You know? You know? One thing that I am noticing as I look at him is that his eyes, the pupils in his eyes aren't centered. So if we just pretended for a second that this was a full circle, his pupil is kind of like right here. It's actually going up a little bit more, and that's not really centered. So I'm just gonna center it a little bit, bring it down and kind of widen it a bit right about here, and just kind of bring it down just a little bit, not a whole lot. I think this will really kind of make his eyes feel a little bit better, and we're going to do the same thing with this one over here. So we're just going to bring it down a little bit. I think that'll be a great start. Actually, I don't know, it's kind of just looking weird in general. I'm trying not to panic right now. Siva, why do you look so different? Why are you so furry, Siva? Why do you have a tail, Grandma? Nobody understands me, and that's okay. Yeah, he does look Asian. It's because I made the points on his eyes, like, really inset, but, like, they aren't, like, I could bring it down, but, like, I'll just bring it down. We'll bring his, like, whole lid down. Yeah, I guess that makes a difference. This is one of those things where it's also about micro expressions. So like part of the thing that I want is for him to look bored, but if we're not keeping his like micro expressions within also his like muscle range, like if his muscles don't truly push that far up, then we need to be like mindful of how exaggerated a expression is. So micro expressions really do make a difference. So this is just one of those things where we're playing around and we're trying to get the feel of this character. I knew it wasn't going to look right immediately because this is an official painting. It's not just concept art. So the difference between doing concept art and an official painting is that concept art is just an idea. It's not supposed to look perfect. It's just an idea that you sketch together really fast, try to make look kind of like your character. And now that we're doing the official thing, we're having to go in and really define certain details and stuff, and so it's just a matter of playing around with it and trying to figure out like what suits the character best. That's the whole purpose of concept art. I can't like stress that enough. But yeah, we're just gonna go in and kind of lower his eyelids a little bit. I think that looks better already. I'm actually going to bring his nostrils in a little bit. I don't like how far out they are, so I'm just going to take that shadow and push it in first before I bring his nostrils in, just to play with that alone, which is okay, I guess. I'm probably going to, let's point his nose just a little bit more, so let's add a much harsher point and less roundness to the nose. And I think I do really like that, so I'm going to keep that. And then I'm also going to go in and let's just give him some decent hair, because I think another thing that's like throwing me off is his hair. It's kind of just like really blurry and not fully there. So we're going to use a reference to do that. It doesn't really matter what. I don't even think I need a reference. Let's just try it without a reference real quick. So we're just gonna go in and try to give him some hair. So his hair is supposed to be white, but even if you have a white something, usually it's never a true white. And I'm gonna just say it over and over and over and over and over. When you're drawing, typically you don't want to use white or black, like true white and true black. You wanna always use colors and tints and stuff and shades to color in your character. So even though this is a white, if I color pick it and we look up at the top right corner, that's not all the way up at the true white corner. This is true white, but what I'm color picking is actually gray and it's like slightly down. This is really important because if you want to add something on your painting that is like the brightest white or like bright white magic, or you really want the eyes to pop, or you want like white armor that really shines, you don't ever want to use white, because the white will take away from the spots that are supposed to be like the most shiny or the most sparkly or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So don't ever use true white. I mean, you could if you wanted to. It just really depends on like how experienced you are and how well you know how to like break the rules and stuff. But we're just gonna go in and use different grays and purples and soft tones to kind of make his hair look nice. I'm gonna layer copy it and hide the old one, and we're gonna compare the two to each other. So I like to actually start with the bottom layer of the hair. Usually when I do hair, I treat it as if it's in layers. The reason for that is because if you start with the bottom layer and work your way up to the top layer with the most light on it, whereas the bottom layer, like for example, if we look at my hair right here, is like super dark and like not very saturated at all, but then when we get to the top parts that are like actually touching the light, they become very like almost orangey, and then the mid-tones like right about here are more of like a strawberry red, whereas the like, you know, these pieces are more orangey red. So we're just going to do that. If you do it in layers instead of just like one full body, it will feel more full, and that's kind of what we're going for. So we're going to go in and we're going to start with the bottom layer first. So this is going to be the darkest, and I chose that like pastel pink or purple as my like bottom tone. So we'll use that. And we're going to go through and just make the edges look nice. Usually when I'm doing short hair, I like to think of it as these little wisps that like come out from the scalp. So I just do like little wisps, and it just depends on how they style their hair. Some guys don't add any product to their hair, and some guys do. Some guys shorten their hair and then they like spike it up. So it depends on whatever hairstyle it is that you're doing for your character. But for Siva, he doesn't really do anything with his hair. It just kind of naturally grows the way that it is. So it's going to be a little bit unruly in a lot of spots, and that's okay. So we have all these like spots at the bottom that are just kind of everywhere. And then I'm not going to add a whole lot of shading to those, because if we get too chaotic with it and we start like adding a bunch of stuff, it's going to totally change the entire dynamic of his hair, and that's not what we want. We don't want some crazy hairstyle. We want it to really feel like he has white hair that's kind of a little bit grown out, but not too much. So we're just going to keep doing this, bring the hair up, and then we're going to go on to the next layer. So the next layer is going to be like a softer gray, so it's going to be more like this color right here. And we're just going to take that and put it in between. This is going to be the area that's like not quite in the shadows, but also not quite in the light. So it's going to be usually like covered up by the brightest parts, but not always. It just depends really. But I'm going to take that. I like to put it right here at the front of the hair. And the reason that I like that is because if the light is truly coming from above, then when the hair curves down into the front of the face right here, we'll just pretend this is a face, the hair is going to curve out this way, right? And then it's going to come down into the face. So this area right here is going to be the most lit up because that's where the light is coming down. And then as it comes down this way, it's going to be a little bit darker. So for like the front of the face, I'm going to give it like a darker shading. So we're just going to take that like, it's not going to be like super dark, but it's not going to be super light either. So this is a really good like mid-tone for that area. We're also going to add those like half dark areas like right here, kind of right here, and just kind of pull it out in different directions. The hair will go in a general direction, so like as you can see with his bangs, they're kind of all flowing this way, but they're not perfect. Some hairs do kind of mess up and go in different areas or whatever. That's kind of how hair is. It'll have a general rule of where it's going, but there will always be like unruly pieces and stuff. And then you'll have some that stick out more than others, so they catch light more than others. And so we're just going to keep doing these two colors back and forth, this color and this like gray-white color. We're going to keep doing them back and forth, because if you keep doing this and then you put the lighter part right there and then you do it like this and then you add another light part on top, it will actually feel like it's layered. So that's kind of what we're going to do. So we're just going to keep like pulling the hair out in certain spots, even right here. And sometimes we'll use even the darker colors. It's good to have a variation, where it's good to have a variation. So we're just going to keep kind of doing that. And sometimes it's too much and you just have to really be aware. Try not to make their hair look too stringy. It's good to have a variation, it's good to have a variation, but keep in mind that it's a body of hair, so it's still going to connect all in one piece, or in one layer at the very least, to the top of the head. So don't make it too stringy. Super important. And we're gonna add some shading right here because again the light is coming from above, so as it goes, and it depends on where the hair part is, but if the hair part is right here at the back of his head and his hair curves around this way, right, so it kind of has this general shape, right, and then it goes that way but we can't see it because it's going in that way. If the hair has that shape, then basically the highlight is going to be right here. This is going to be the brightest bright because that's where the light is hitting the top of the head, but it's not going down into that whatever you call it, crease or whatever, hairline. So this is going to be kind of a little bit dark, not too much, but just right here basically. And then we're going to have this like super light part, and then we'll have, you know, the bits of hair coming off like this. So it's already really starting to look like hair without all those like fuzzy edges that I had before, and that's kind of really important when you're drawing. We're just gonna keep doing that. So this is one of those things where, remember how just a second ago I was like, don't ever use true white or true black for like too many things on your painting. So the reason why is because, see how I picked this like ashy white? And now I really want to go in and add some highlight to their face, or not their face, their hair. So I'm going to pick the truest white for only details that I really want to accent. So now I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight on the hair right here. And look how like because I didn't use, oops, it's like under a layer. Because I didn't use a true white, now I can really add a highlight right here. If I had done this whole head true white and then I tried to go and add a highlight, there's nothing whiter than true white, and so you wouldn't be able to add that little bit of highlight right there, and then his hair would feel more flat. Now that's really important. So we're just going to highlight the top of the hair. Some spots need to have more highlight than others. Some of these spots are just unruly and coming out randomly. Hey Nephilim King, how are you today? Is it Nephilim or Nephilim? I never really knew because like some sites that I watch like pronounce it differently than others. Someone's late for work. And then if you ever feel like you've overdone it too much, it's okay to go back and erase into the hair. So like if you just do like little wisps of erasing into the body of the hair, it'll still kind of retain that hair look and also get rid of like edges that are just too much or have a little bit of fuzz at the end of them when it should be really sharp. So I'm just gonna go in and sharpen this up a bit in some spots. The first one, Nephilim? That's what I use. What are you up tonight, Nephilim? Ah, you found this drawing and then stayed.
Hey, shoot that guy.
Wait, you're from Arcade? What? Holy crap. What server? Were you on the same server as me? That's already really starting to look good. I'm not really sure that I'm gonna spend too much time like trying to perfect it or make it look like absolutely perfect hair. I just kind of wanted to give his hair a little bit more body and sharp edges so that it actually felt like hair and not like this like fake blob on top of his head. That was really important to me to kind of go in and fix some spots that are like really messed up. Even now, like there's still some spots that I missed, which isn't like the end of the world, but it's still, I don't know. I'd like to think that I'm not a perfectionist, but sometimes I really can be. It just depends. I'm okay with these blurry parts over here just because they're kind of not on the edges, they're more like in the mid-tones of the hair, so I'm not like gonna go in and like perfect them. I'll add a little bit of wisp, like going this way, and one going like that way. There. That way the top layer truly feels lit up and like it's got something going on. What? What is going on? I shot him in the face. What? We're just like making fun of them because they're playing Fortnite right now.
Thank you.
What?
Hey, you gotta fall down if you can, man, so we can get you. We'll help you get out there.
Okay, so there's that, and then now I'm gonna go back to his face and just keep kind of perfecting it and making it not so blurry and stuff. I don't want to hear this song. You You would not believe it gets stuck in my head. I gotta change it. Like, oh, I'm done with my drink. I'm gonna mix another. Yes, it's fireflies. You guessed it. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is go in and kind of define his eyes. Right now I just kind of blotched in the color, but I want to go ahead and just make them look like the actual color that they are and a little bit more realistic. So I'm just gonna kind of look at his eyes and see. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I feel undecided on Ziva's eye color, but for now I'll go ahead and stick with this like icy blue. So we're gonna come up here and we'll do, we'll just push that up and then, oops, push that down. And then you can get rid of that. And I'm trying to get rid of any excess layers. Okay, so that's good. And then, I don't know what this is. Okay, so this one I'm gonna go ahead and add that like icy blue to his eyes. You guys are arguing over who owes who soda. Oh, that's funny. The other funny. Okay, so my alcohol to soda ratio is like, because you asked, not because I'm, I don't know, I was gonna make a joke, but I don't really have one. Alcohol to soda ratio, so I usually do like about that much alcohol, and then like, this is what I mean by like, it's hard to tell how many drinks I've had because I don't like do a full drink. I only do like a tiny bit of soda, so like that. So like I'll just add soda, but like it was like that much alcohol roughly. So yeah, it's hard to like tell how much I've drank. So my drinks are like fairly strong. Surprise! Okay, yeah, so we're gonna like edit his eyes a little bit. But honey's expensive, isn't it? Gosh, I wish I was on that level. Cheers! I wish my Facebook followers would drink with me, but they're all lurkers and quiet. Okay, so I'm going to use a reference for his eyes just because I want you guys to see like the different ways that you can do them. But first that requires me going through my reference folder and finding eyes. So give me 1 second. Well, lucky for you, Nephilim, I stream on Friday. I'm just kidding. No peer pressure, but a little bit of peer pressure. Okay, so let me find like an eye study so you guys could see like the different ways that you can do them. Eyes and hair and lips are like my absolute favorite, but there's so many different ways that you can do them. Some of them are more anime style, some of them are more realistic style. It just depends on what you're trying to go for your character. But here's like a few different, these are more anime style eyes. Obviously some of them don't even have pupils. Honestly, this one's my favorite. For those of you who don't really know me that well, I really tend to lean towards eyes that don't have pupils, and for some reason I think that just makes them look, I don't know the word for it. I want to say more beautiful, but that's not just it. Like, it does something else to them that like makes them feel more open. But you can definitely do like more realistic styles and whatnot. It really just depends. So he has kind of like a mix between this one and this one. So this one I'm going to use, or even this one. Oh, or this one. I don't even know. I'm getting carried away right now. So I'm gonna try to kind of use one of these like mix of eye colors just to play around. I think I'll try to do like a mix between this and this. So we'll just go in. Oh yeah, you could definitely drink with us. Do the green one and the first one. Wait, which one? Oh my god, I circled so many. Wait, okay, so let me like number them. 1, 2, we'll just say this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, they're kind of oddly numbered, but I'll let you pick. 4 and 5? Okay, so 4 and 5. We're gonna do a mix of 4 and 5. Don't let me forget. Because, you know, I get distracted easy. Okay, so we're gonna try to, I think what I'll do is this style. So what I mean by that is he has a little bit of a lining around his eye, but then his pupil is actually white. So it's a very tiny pupil, and it's not like any color really to it at all. But we're gonna do this color probably. So let's try to kind of mimic that. We're gonna go in and give him, we're gonna bring this in a little bit, just a little bit, and make his eyes. So like the thing with eyes, or it's really anything that you're painting, it's not just eyes, or like, you know, it's not just hair or anything, but anything that you're painting, you always pick like the base color that you want, but then you always paint with color. And what I mean by that is you want to do different colors. So like, for example, this isn't all green. This eye may look green, but it has blue like in the inside of it. So like what really makes it pop is adding different pieces of color in the whatever it is that you're shading. And then the light part is actually like a little bit of yellowy green in there. So it's not like what you would think that it is. Beginner artists sometimes forget that. So we're just gonna try to mimic that. Basically we're gonna have like this like really bright, like overly saturated green. Then we're gonna go into these like teal parts right here. And then as we get into the shadows of the eye, it's gonna become more blue and a little less saturated. So it'll be more like this, almost. Something like that. This is a good rough sketch, but I'm so used to concept art, I just quickly throw things in there and then I like don't think too hard about it. Okay, and then we're gonna add like some even greens, like ashy greens in there. And we're just gonna keep working this. I'm not gonna mess with the pupil just yet. I'm gonna keep it the way that it is because I'm gonna want to see like the difference between the two. I'm gonna add a little bit of like some shading right here so it looks like there's a shadow going across the top of the eye. That's really important to me. That it feels like there's like shadows there. We're gonna make the outer edge really thin. Right now it's super thick and looks like a really like crazy border, but I'm just gonna bring the eye color out and blend it a little bit so that that outer edge is like really thin. We're gonna even add a pop of color on the inside of the iris. So he has an iris, but it's not gonna be like black. It's gonna be very soft and like mixing with the rest of the colors in the eye. The iris itself is not actually blue, it's more of like a teal green, so we're gonna darken that up and bring like a teal green out this way, and then as it comes out into this area it becomes more green because the light is like splashing onto it.
Anybody second make it?
The other thing that I like to do is once I've blotched in my colors, I like to go in and take the whatever the main colors are of the eyes. So like we'll just use yellow as an example, but like I like to go in and take the outer corners and drag irises or like little, I don't know what you call these, like rivets or edges or whatever. I like to drag those in, so it's just a quick dot going in the like whatever direction that the pupil is. So everything that I do on the outer edge is going to be going in towards the pupil, and then we're going to do the same thing on the inner edge. So the inner edge, we're going to take that light green color and we're going to softly bring it out in some places. So we're just going to dot it out, not too much, but we're just going to dot it out a little bit. And then same with the inner pieces, so we're just going to zigzag back and forth so it feels like there's a lot of like mess and like, I don't know what those are called honestly, but like that little like I don't know what those are called, but like your eyes aren't like flat color. They have like these tiny little like muscles and things inside them, receptors that like receive light. So that's what we're trying to mimic right now, is like this whole iris. Actually, I don't think the iris itself receives light. I think it's just your pupil and what's inside your pupil, but it's so dark that you can't even see. But yeah. And this area right here flexes and changes. So like whatever, if there's like a bunch of light shining into your eye will flex, and all of this will end up actually like much further right here, and then the pupil will only be so big. If there's not a lot of light, the pupil will expand and all these muscles will flex and pull away. So it really depends on what type of lighting you have, what kind of iris you have. Gloss effect in that app? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm actually going to add the glossy part after I get the color blotched in, if you mean that like little sheen going across it. Yeah, I can add that. That'll be after I blotch in all the colors and everything. So now that I've got that, I'm going to just take it and literally repeat it on the other eye. So we're just going to kind of watch over here. We're going to take that like blue color, bring it out all the way, and then take that like teal color, bring it out this way. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we just need to guesstimate and throw all the colors in kind of sort of the same area. Take that dark color right there, take that yellowy color and put it right here, take that green area and throw it in here, take that like off green color, put it all the way out here and on the edge, because we don't want that edge to be super thick and black. We want it to be blue and very thin. And then we'll bring this down. And we'll do the same thing that we did before, so we're just gonna dot the edges until we have a nice color coming out. And then I'm gonna soften it up a little bit. So right now the color is just blotched and we're not really trying to make it look perfect, but I am going to go in and make the pupils a little bit smoother, because right now they're pretty like blotchy and harsh in some spots, so we're just going to soften that up a little bit right there. And then right here we're going to keep the shading that we had before, so this is actually going to be a bit darker right here. A lot of beginner artists forget that the eyes itself have, you know, shading just like any other part of the body. So we're just going to keep like the shading going across, and then we're also going to add that shading across the pupil. So this is all going to be encased in darkness, but we're not really going to see a lot of it. we're going to do the same thing with this eye over here. So we're going to take that shadow and bring it across, and then this part of the eye, oops, this part right here is all going to be lit up because that's where it's coming out into the light being cast on it. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to put the light and then we're going to put the shadows like roughly right about there and drag that shadow across the pupil itself. Now, since we're copying the reference, we picked the colors that we wanted, right? So we got those colors, but now we're using, was it this one? Yeah, this one. So we're using this as a reference, which means that the pupil itself isn't black. It's more anime styled, which means there's going to be a white center. So we're just going to do that. We're going to kind of, actually we're going to make this even smaller because we're copying this reference. And we're just going to make it tinier and make the inside white. But I'm not going to use a true white. The whitest white that I will ever use is the highlight of their face. So like, I'll take the highlight of the face and I'll make it just a slightly bit lighter, and that's what I use for the insides of the eyes and for like little spots like that. And then I save the whitest white, like this true white up here. I only save that for like where the light is hitting the hair, and also for like where it's reflecting off of the eye. But I'm not going to add the reflections just yet because I want to make sure that I'm happy with the colors, because if I go in and add that reflection, that means and if I'm unhappy with the color, I'm going to have to go back and fix it, and I don't want to have to redo all that detail. So first we make sure that we're happy with the form and the colors first, and then we'll go and add the highlight once we're satisfied completely. So this is a good middle ground. I'm going to add just a little bit more like back and forth detail right here. And maybe some specks that go like that far up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just something to kind of make it feel like the pupil isn't like flat. That's really important when you're drawing. And now I'm going to zoom out just to be sure that I'm happy with that color. I think I am happy with it. Now I can take the whitest white and add some like reflection across the eyes. So it just depends on where the light's coming from. Honestly though, this is just concept art and a skin study, so I'm not gonna like sit here and try to perfect it. I'm only gonna add like highlights. Let's see. I can either copy this one, well, we'll do the same thing. It's not really that big of a deal, but we're gonna put the light like right here. So we're gonna add that reflection. Oops, I'm gonna put it on a different layer so you guys can see the difference, but we're gonna add it on a separate layer and put it right here, and then there's maybe like one right here. It depends on where the light's coming from, and it also depends on what is around the person and what's being reflected, because in anime they'll always do like this little white piece right here. And that's okay, but if you're trying to make your painting really realistic, then you wouldn't be putting a white reflection there. You would actually be putting an entire reflection of the room or the area or the horizon that they're staring at into the eye. So like if this was just a room with like, you know, big, I don't know, like we'll just say like a tree or something, like all around him there's trees, then the eye will actually have like a reflection of all of that in it, I guess, if that makes sense. Obviously I can't really do that right now because I don't even have a room to reflect on his eyes, so right now I'm okay with doing an anime style reflection. But this is what we were talking about why we don't use true white for the entire body, because now when we look at it, look how much his eyes pop, because they're not a complete true white right here. If they were a true white right here and then I added these little pieces of highlight on the eye and then we zoomed out, it just would be taking away from that highlight, and it wouldn't make it as like poppy as it is right now. So we're just gonna add that highlight in the same spot on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just something. And now when we zoom out, we kind of have something that looks right. It's slowly coming together. Cheers. So we're gonna just go in and kind of define his eyes a little bit. Honestly, I think I want to kind of make them just a little bit bigger, because this is a little bit more on the anime side. So I'm just gonna take this like outer edge and make it just a little bit bigger. Part of the reason that I'm doing this too is because there is a golden ratio. Some people tend to forget that. So like if you're trying to make a character look more beautiful or handsome, you want to follow the golden ratio. You can look that up on Google if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But the golden ratio means that like your your face, like people, humans, like what we find attractive actually follows a like mathematical proportion, like ratio. But if you like go outside or deviate away from those proportions of what makes a face look good, then it'll start to look weird, or that's where you get the like term ugly or whatever. So like something that is more ugly will not be totally perfect and within this like ratio or whatever. So one of the things that the reason that I was saying that is because his eyes are very big, but his pupils or his iris is very small compared to that, and I don't feel like that fits the golden ratio, so I'm gonna just widen them up a little bit because I want there to be a certain ratio of how much pupil there is to how much white there is in the eyes. So I'm just gonna make them a little bit bigger. This is really important, and I think that'll actually, now that when we zoom out, now it really feels accurate. Like it doesn't feel weird, it feels like it matches. And this is like, you'll start to like learn the golden ratio, and then you'll see it like everywhere, and it'll like make your drawings like either like come together, or they'll look really weird because you'll realize that you're not like following it, and that you need to like fix some things like based off of the ratio. So it's like pretty funny, like the more that I get into that, the more it just like takes over my art. But yeah, I think that's a good start. I'm gonna keep working on it, so I'm gonna save the progress that I have so far before I forget. Oh, well, thanks for hanging out, Nephilim. I'll see you Friday, maybe. Have a good one. BRB real quick. Okay, so we're just gonna continue where we left off, basically. One thing that I want to kind of do is go in and I think I want to lower his eyes a little bit. I still feel like his eyes are just not quite how at the original sketches, so I'm just gonna take them and lower them a tiny, tiny bit. Not a lot, just a tiny, tiny bit. I think this will really make a difference. Yeah, that's already right. Bye. What's that? He's still writing?
No. That's not. They had a truck, that's why they were.
If I'm responding to a lot of people, it's just because I'm streaming on multiple sites. I'm not crazy, you guys. Okay, so now that I kind of have that, I'm just gonna go through and harden some things up, or like make the edges a bit harsher, because I blasted this photo up. So because I did that, I lost a lot of detail, and now there's a lot of areas that are like in desperate need of sharpening. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. We're gonna go through and fix that.
We gotta go to Mystic.
Oops. Why do you think so? You think his skin looks okay? Because this was initially a darker skin tone study. So now it looks a little bit more normal. I want to show you guys the before and after because it's really funny. If I can get him pulled up. So like I drew him and like this is what I started with, and then I wanted to make him tanner, and this is what I did, and it just really made him look super burnt. But now we're getting into like actually making his skin look decent, and it's really coming together. One thing that I'm noticing is that his nose seems to be a little bit higher up, so I'm actually going to kind of do that. The other thing that I'm going to do is make his lips so that they don't have like such a crazy curvature to them. So right now they're they have like a really medium or like small indent. I'm just going to get rid of that. That way it's true to the original sketch. The other thing I want to do is kind of bring the inner eye in just a little bit. I feel like that's what needs to be brought up. Not the whole lid, just the inner part of the lid. I think this will really make a difference. Let's see, what else do we have? The thing I want to do is bring his eyebrows down a little bit, just because they're like really far away from his eyes, but in this sketch they're pretty close to his eyes. So I'm just bringing the eyebrows down. The other thing that I want to do is add some more creasing in the eyelid. So there's going to be some spots right here and here that are like coming out into like more like wrinkles and stuff on the lid, because it's all like, you know, it's not like skin's not perfect. I think that's good. And then I want to raise his nose up just a little bit. So I'm actually going to take it and kind of push that up and then push up the nostrils. So the nostrils are right here, but now I'm going to push them up to right about here. Not a lot, just a tiny, tiny bit. And then bring down the like bottom part of the nostril, but we're not really going to see that a whole lot, so I'm not going to like focus on that. And just harshen up the edges around his nose. So like we're going to make this really dark right here. And then bring the shadow or that like indent up here, but keeping in mind that it's falling into the shadow of the nose, so it's actually going to be a bit darker right here. Not totally dark, but just darker. Going up into the nose, kind of, sort of. And now when I zoom out, it's starting to slowly re-look like him. Like it's not losing his face shape, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The other thing that I want to do is push his nose in a little bit, because right now it's like missing that like little indent right here, so we're just gonna push this in. It's a wide nose, but not really like wide right here. It's only wide right here. So we're just gonna kind of push this indent in a tiny bit, but not with those colors. We're gonna use more of this like orangey, like red color, ashy red. We're also gonna bring that shading up a little bit, because right now it's right here, but it should be a little bit more up, like it should be right about here. So we're just gonna drag that down. Sorry if you can hear them in the background, they're playing Fortnite right now, so that might get a little bit crazy. I'm gonna make his eyebrows a little bit harsher, so we're just gonna bring that out a little bit this way. We're going to really force that indent between his brows and the, what do you call it? That like little like indent right here, because he's kind of always got like a scowl on his face. So when you scowl, your eyebrows push into this like middle region. So like it's surprising actually, because the brow isn't what like shows the emotion. People who are new to drawing think that it's the eyebrows that will like squint a lot and like get really, like when you're angry they like think it's like this, which is kind of in a way true. I mean it's partly true, but it's actually how much you shade in between as well that makes the difference. Because if you have a character who has like this like harsh scowl on their face, it's mostly going to be the shading right there that matters, not so much this up here. There should be some curvature there as it's bending down and pushing in, but not like a crazy amount on the actual eyebrow, because they can only push so far. Like it's like attached to skin on your face and muscles and stuff, so like they can only move so much before they get like stuck, you know, they can't like go super far. So like animes will always like make these like crazy faces, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not like true to actual like, you know, anatomy and whatnot. So this is a good in-between, right, what I have here. And then we're also going to darken his lips up a little bit around the outer edge, just on this one. The reason for that is because the light is coming down from above. So this should...
I hate this game. So bad.
So this one should come out and have some shading on the bottom part. Not this harsh, but kind of like that. Here, real quick. So the next thing that I want to do, now that I've kind of got the general idea of his like face and stuff, I want to go in and just make general details kind of a bit sharper. So for example, his earrings right now are really blurry. I'm going to go in and give him some ears and some lines around where the ears would technically be. We'll do that on this side as well. One of the things that a lot of beginner artists forget is, like, depending on what angle you are looking at, your ears will actually, like, you know, change for that angle. So like if you have a person who's looking at you head on at the camera, you're really not going to see like a lot of the ear. It's going to become more like what's the word, like oval instead of circular. So like as the character is turning, their ear is going to obviously be more rounded because you're going to see more detail as it's coming centered towards the camera where the camera is. So like a lot of people who are starting off as beginner artists, they don't really understand as they're drawing their character in different angles that the shape of the ear like really tells a story about what direction your character is looking in. With that in mind, we're just gonna go in on the character and try to like thin out the ears a little bit so that they match each other and also so that they're telling an accurate story. The ears, if we're following the golden ratio, the ears should be level with the nose. So this is the bottom of the nose, and then the top of the ear should be level with the eyebrows. So if I took away his like hair, that should be accurate, which is roughly pretty accurate. It looks like I did put the ears roughly with the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose. That's a golden ratio tip. So like if you ever need like tips and tricks to like make drawing people easier, that's one of them. If you're trying to make somebody with really large ears, then basically you would exit out of that golden ratio and start to give your character ears that don't fit the golden ratio. And this is why we think that large ears are unattractive, quote unquote, because it doesn't fit within that golden ratio. Now they're outside of the limit and now they're going too far away from his face. So those are things that you have to really think about when you're drawing. But yeah, I'm gonna go in and kind of add some really harsh lines instead of like all this like blurriness. The other thing about ears is if we were looking at an ear from the side, the general shape of the ear should be like if this is his face looking from the side over here and we can see the entire ear, you would have this like outer shading, right, because this is where the light is hitting the outside of the ear. You would have this indent right here, and then you would have the earlobe right here, right? So this is the outside of the ear, that's what general shape, and then the inside will always have the shape of, there's a Y right here and then like a C right here. I'm pretty sure it's a Y and a C. So you have like a Y and a C. And that's it. That's all you really need to know. And you can make it as detailed as you want, or you can make it not detailed, but generally this is accepted as the general shape of an ear. That's usually what I do because I focus most on concept art, so I don't sit there and try to like make the ears perfect. I just make the general shape and like hint that that's an ear basically. So if that's what I'm doing, then I'm gonna copy that shape over here, but I said I was gonna copy it, but literally we're not even gonna see any of that at this angle, so we don't even have to worry about that. We're just going to kind of make a shadow here to hint that the inside of the ear is roughly right here. We'll make a soft shading right here where that Y is, so like two little dots right there, right? And right here, and then the main part of the ear where it sticks out, right? So we have this like little spot right here. We also have the top of the ear, which hits the light, so this is going to be lit up, and then the earlobe as well kind of catches a lot of light. But that's generally it. That's all I do. I don't sit there and try to like make the earlobes like perfect or anything by any means. Like, this is concept art. So we'll just go in and do that on this side as well. We'll go and get kind of the same thing. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's concept art. So we'll have this like shape going this way, and then we'll add the like indent or whatever you call that, that little hook right there, but not so harsh, like that kind of. Put that at the top, and then we'll have a little bit of shading going into the ear, but I'm not going to sit there and make it perfect. And then as we get down to the earlobe, there's going to be a little bit of an earlobe like right about there. So that's it. That's just the general idea. Are you saying he got his eyebrows did? Why? Because they're so perfect. That's one thing we're gonna have to go back and like fix is his eyebrows, but I'm not gonna like worry too hard about this because this was supposed to be just a general skin study. It wasn't really about much else. I'm gonna get rid of any excess bullcrap that I have just lying around his like drawing. So some of these, like these earrings and stuff. Let's see, what else do we have here? We're gonna bring that like shadow up this way. The next thing that I want to do is add those earrings in now that I've made his ears perfect. So I'm just actually going to zoom in on the old drawing and take the color from those earrings. And we're going to put them right here. So he only has one on this side. And then he has two on this side. And they're not perfect hoops. They have kind of a little bit of a widening at the end of the curvature. Or whatever, at the end of the earring. So these are kind of like, I'm not even going to sit here and draw it out, but yeah, basically that's it. And then, let's see. I could add shading to them, but I'm not really too worried about that because this is a concept about his skin and his body and his face more than anything else, not his earrings. So I'm just going to kind of like make the edges nice, but that's it. That's all I'm going to focus on. Just make the edges nice. Just little edges that come out this way. Hi, Linda. Yes. Yes, that is Linda. She says hi back. Make sure that the earrings are consistent with each other, so whatever you do on one side, you need to be sure that you're doing on the other if they are the same thing indeed. So that's something to kind of be aware of. Okay, so now I'm going to add his hair just to kind of see what we have so far. So let's compare. His skin does look lighter than the left picture. I'm going to get rid of my video so you guys can see the full thing. So this is what I did originally. I literally just took the lightest skin color that I'm used to working with and I toned it down and added more saturation, which was no. That was a big no, because it made his skin look really burnt in this picture. It looks just horribly burnt. Whereas the bright one, I went through and added some color to it, added some color to the highlights, but didn't make it all shades of red. It's more of an orangey, ashy color. The highlights are like yellows, pinks, and blues. So now we have this versus this, this is by far much better. This probably looks cooler just because of like how I drew his face and whatnot, but that's just gonna take some work since this is an official painting that we're working with versus concept art. So we're just gonna have to try to keep it consistent with this, but also keeping in mind what we studied about his skin. But I'm actually going to wrap this up just because I'm tired. I want to call it the end of the night and get some rest for myself. So I'm going to continue this on Thursday. That way we can see like how far I've come. But thank you guys for hanging out and all the support and love. If you like what you see, share with your friends or tell them next time to come hang out. And have a good night.